Never before have we had greater face a complex, rapidly changing world. Think of it a moment.
It is a world in which supersonic speeds are commonplace. It is a world that has seen the coming of the atomic bomb. It has seen the rise of the total state, the dictator, and the mass man. It is a world of new sensations, new excitements, new distractions.
So much to be learned by so many in so little time.
And I suppose you're here with no agenda, as per usual?
On the contrary, I'm here for comics.
How's your comic book collection, Brody?
Oh, it's going good, but I've been...
Every single one of them in that movie has a magical girl transformation. I didn't remember that. I haven't watched that movie in so long. Justice League versus Teen Titans. So Beast Boy gets one. Blue Beetle gets one. It's fun times. But of course,
it's
Corey
a great
is
time.
the best one.
It's a great time.
With that, hello out there, everyone. It is 25 minutes late, but we are here. We are ready to talk. Yes, that delay was because of ridiculous YouTube problems, things that we thought we ironed out last night, just weren't ironed out this morning because that's how the internet works. This is why I was asking you before the stream went live, Andrew, but if anybody's out there has ever watched Parks and Recreation, there's a quote from Andy where he mistakenly says before a big show, oh, you know what they always say, the show must go wrong. And April's like, what are you talking about? And it's like, oh, that's the saying. Everything that will go wrong with the show will go wrong. So be ready for it. And everybody's like, that's wrong, but it's right. So we don't really know how to handle it.
It's not the correct quote, but it is the correct thing that actually ends up happening.
Exactly, which is, so yes, that is why we're late, but we are here, and I would like to welcome you all to the very first episode of our new comic book, general probably geekery talk show, Foil Variant. If you guys know me and Andrew, we obviously are giant comic book dorks. We talk about it all the time. We probably annoy absolutely all of you with our talks, whether it's on Discord or on Twitter or on whatever streams we happen to be a part of. So we figured, you know what? Why don't we just, not annoy everyone and make our own show? And here we are. So welcome aboard. Yeah, exactly. we'll do it live. We'll do it our own damn selves. And I don't know about you, Andrew, but one of the reasons I wanted to do this show was because, and I guess this is just sort of the thesis for at least my approach to what we're doing, which is, I know you've seen it. I know we've all seen it. The sphere is not, there's no integrity left in the sphere. Anybody who wants to talk about comics or criticize comics, they either default to, oh, look, this is woke, and they don't explain it. They either say, oh, this is Rossicist, and they don't explain it. There's no talking about this medium that we love anymore. So at least for me, I want to bring it back, highlight the things that we do like, because comics have gotten better. I will admit that. There was an admitted low point in
Except
2014. DC as a whole, we will definitely get into DC today.
DC has not gotten better, actually. DC has done this after 2016.
The only good thing DC has is that they have
World's Finest.
They have World's Finest, and they have Dan Mora. That's exactly what I was going to say. Oh, by the way, you know that Art Germ cover, that Batgirl cover?
Yeah.
That's getting a foil. I didn't know if you saw that, but I saw it the other day, and I was like, oh no, I think I have to get it because Art Germ and foil.
Yeah, and thankfully it's not a book that's written by Tom King, so I can allow it into my home.
It's
otherwise,
not King or it's Tamaki. Like it's neither of those
like
two.
I've had to pass on Zatanna Art Germ covers. I've had to pass on Wonder Woman Art Germ covers because I will not allow that kind of demonic activity into my home. Crap written by Tom King and Mariko Tamaki. My God in heaven, ain't no way.
Just no. I like that. You and I have had this conversation a lot, especially with the Wonder Woman series they're doing right now. DC is really pushing this Wonder Woman Volume 8. Like I don't know why. Maybe it's got to do with modern day politics. Maybe it's got to do with the fact that Tom King's on it. But like, you've seen it. Every issue gets a big cover, gets a big thing. At Comic-Con this year, the DC booth, their exclusive merch, as far as comics went, I know I told you this, were metal covered like variants of their trade paperbacks, and it was a metal variant of some event, whatever the most recent event was that happened. Lazarus, I don't know, it was something that nobody really wants to read, but so
it would have been something before Beast World.
No, it would have
after
been
Beast World.
It would have been after Beast World, because this would have been
it was back in July.
Yeah,
right?
so pre-Absolute Power. So everything pre-Absolute Power is where we would have been looking. But I know that the other two were a metal version of the Batman by Chip Zdarsky, the Failsafe arc, the one where he introduced the new Absolute Power villain or whatever, and then a metal variant for the Wonder Woman like first volume. And I'm like, what? This volume's not that good. Tom King's not that good. Stop pushing him. Stop
giving him work.
Stop. Honestly, one of the most consistent things I've seen from both like people in our sphere and also like, you know, the super leftist, you know, activist readers, nobody likes Tom King. And so I genuinely don't understand how the man keeps getting work.
Because his books don't even sell well. So it's like, all right, so he can try and he can try and market like out of his mouth and out of his rear to like one particular group or another, and he does do both. But those people aren't buying his book. His books don't. He has tarnished his name at DC. His books do not do well. You had a solid, admittedly, start when Rebirth first popped off in 2016, and his first couple of arcs were solid. Batman. They weren't amazing. I wouldn't put them at like early New 52 Scott Snyder.
No.
You know, I would not put it in the class of, you know, your Court of Owls, your Night of Owls, that stuff. But it wasn't bad. It wasn't unreadable. It was like, okay, well, this is fine. This is solid,
it was sort of
right?
that like good.
It's not like I'm in love with it or anything.
It was that sort of refresh point, right? Like, we're doing Rebirth. Right. It's not a full reboot, but we want to give it a sort of soft place for people to jump in or whatever. So yeah, I'm right there with you. Like, King was like, fine. He was like, okay, this is a Batman story. It's not out of character. It's not awful yet. There's something here. Then we got the Batcat Wedding. We got Heroes in Crisis. We got Mr. Miracle. We got everything. Jenny Sparks now is an absolute travesty of a book that we'll probably talk about in a little bit. The Wonder Woman book where they introduced, again, if for anybody out there who hasn't seen what's cooking in the Wonder Woman book, the big plot is that the United States has forever been ruled and created by an old white guy who named the Sovereign, who hates women and wants slavery and is super racist and holds the lasso of lies because, you know, the opposite of Wonder Woman. And it's just, it's so, right, that's exactly what I was going to get at. Like, it's so trite. It's so, like, we get it. Like, what it really feels like is that he's trying to bring back the mid-2000s Mark Millar edgy that a lot of us kind of already decided we really didn't like. A lot of people, and that's, as I say this, I realize like how much of a parallel there is, because Mark Millar's writing back then, everybody went, oh, this is really good, mature, serious writing. And then as we've gotten on, everybody went, what were we thinking? You know, like, Ultimates does not have the I love Ultimates, don't get me wrong. Ultimates 1 and 2 are some of my favorite, like, comics, but they're not exactly, you know, Shakespeare. They're not well written.
Well, here's the thing, that when you're playing in somebody else's sandbox and you're playing with their tools, you're playing with their toys, you only get so much wiggle room. So you can tell some of those more edgy, little darker stories. You can do that, but you only get so much of it to work with. If all of a sudden you go super hard in the paint on that, then you wear it out, and ultimately it becomes like what you're saying with like a lot of his stuff over at Marvel in the early 2000s, where it's like, okay, now it's just a little bit much. Now we've got, you know, Pietro and Wanda banging, and it's like, all right, can we dial it back a little bit, right? Can we get back to maybe a happy medium at best? Because right now you're making me miss like some of the worst stuff of the 90s.
Right.
And I don't want to be in that spot.
No, I 100% agree with you. But also remember, like, to that point, a lot of what his writing did during that time was get Marvel Comics like mainstream recognition, if you will, right? Like the early 2000s was when Marvel in particular started becoming the big entertainment brand, more than just their comics, more than, like, I always define it in two eras. Have you ever been to Universal Studios in Florida?
I have not.
Okay. So they have a Marvel area there, obviously, from back when Marvel licensed a bunch of their stuff to Universal in the 90s.
Yeah, they
contractually, they have Hulk, they have like Spider-Man, they have Doc Ock shows up.
That's right. They had the licensing to have Spider-Man at the park.
Yeah,
That's
so
right.
they still have all that, but their terms and stuff say you can't use any Marvel stuff sort of past 1990 like 8. Right?
Yeah.
So that's why when you go, you see when they have all their Dr. Octopus graphics, it's not, Alfred Molina, it's not even the lady version from Spider-Verse. It is the 90s cartoon one with the orange armor and the bowl cut. And that's an era that I think for a little while, a lot of us, like, that was what am I trying to say here? Right before, so that era, right after they licensed everything to Universal, that's when Marvel started getting mainstream. Like, people on the news started taking it seriously. Oh, look, they're dealing with real topics, big topics, yada yada. And
it shows how ignorant the mainstream is to comic books.
That's
because
1,000%
we've been dealing with real topics for decades and decades prior to that. You just didn't pay attention because you were expecting them. You were expecting. It's one of two things. It's really weird dichotomy. It's like one end of the spectrum or the other. If something is supposed to be for, kids, then it has to be written down to just like complete, kindergarten levels of comprehension. Or if, in order to be considered kin friendly these days, right? Or on the other end of the spectrum, you have stuff that's like, well, this can be enjoyed by adults. Oh, well, that means it has to be super dark, super gritty. Like, the world, there's plenty of bad and darkness in the world, but like, that doesn't mean you have to constantly surround yourself with it. And I think what the especially when it comes to Mark Millar, because somebody made a good point in the chat, where his own publishing line stuff does very well, and most people have received it very well. I haven't read it myself. I just know from what I hear, people that do read it tend to enjoy it, and it's received well. It's had all the success, and he's doing great and fantastic for him. Props, all the props in the world. However, that is different when he's doing that in his own world, his own sandbox, rather than going into somebody else's sandbox, kicking all of their sand out and dumping yours in. It's not the same thing.
And the problem, one of the things I think a lot of people are going to miss with your nuance there is that I know a lot of people defend Mark Millar because they'll still go, well, he's still writing them as those characters, right? Like, I'll admit, like, you go read Ultimates and I can see where, that is Captain America. I can see the blueprint.
Depending on the character, yes.
He's not completely divorced from what it is, but what it is, it's like, oh, I'm coming into your sandbox and you have your sand and I know you like your sand, but what if I took that sand and sort of rolled it in a bunch of glass and then put it back in the sandbox, right? Look, it's
now
the
it's
sand
literally edgy.
Right, exactly. It's a sand but it's literally edgy. So, no, I agree with that. And to our main point, that's what I think is happening with Tom King. I think, I made this point to you while we were talking last night. Generally, if somebody reads a Tom King book, right, whatever that first one they read, they will probably walk away from it going, that was interesting. That was solid. That was a more, I don't want to say mature, but more of a heavy take on that character. And you go, okay, that was pretty interesting.
If they're not super familiar with the character, especially outside of that.
Yeah.
So like if they don't have decades of history like we do with certain, comic book and characters, then they don't have that context and understand.
Catwoman can take out all the Flashes, guys. Let's put this in a power scale ranking. Well, that was it for the show, guys. I'm glad you were here for
good night, everybody.
20 minutes. This is the end of it. First and only show.
Mav just had to go and bring up that freaking BS nonsense
I wish
of Selena taking out multiple members of the Flash family.
I genuinely wish I had. So obviously, guys, this is episode 0, as you could probably tell from the fact that we had a little tech difficulties. This episode is for us to iron out sort of the format, the tech stuff, and in service of that, you'll notice that there is, or you guys won't notice because you have no idea what I'm working on in the back, but there are some there's some parts and graphics and stuff that are still missing on that layout that we'll probably have by next stream. But one of the like play graphics I want to have as a reaction is from, I think it's Spider-Man 2, when Jonah's looking at all the photos and he's just like crap,
mega crap.
Yep, mega crap. That's what I want to do for like when we bring up like Tom King or
Mariko
Tamaki. I'm still so mad that she was the one who did. She's writing that awful Zatanna series, because that Artgerm cover was incredible.
Oh, it was a gorgeous cover. Like, I mean, Artgerm always puts out phenomenal work, and so that was par for the course for him, really. But like, that was an especially good Zatanna cover, and I saw it at my LCS, and I had forgotten that Tamaki had been announced as the writer for that book, and I picked it up. I was like, oh my gosh, you are coming with me. And then I saw the name. I was like, oh my gosh, no, you are not. You are staying right here.
You are staying right here on the shelf. Do not get one inch close to me.
That's like a horror movie where they decide to pick up whatever the demonic looking artifact or relic was. Like, oh, this looks like a good idea to open and put under my bed at night, right? No, it's not. I'm not trying to put that in my car. I don't need that kind of negativity. I don't need it in my home. I don't need it in my life.
No, okay. I want to, so in service of the fact that I don't have everything set up, I'm going to do, no, what am I trying to do here? Okay. I'm going to transition this so I can show you all, and then I'm going to fix a thing while we talk about it.
Okay.
This is what you all signed up for. I hope you're happy. But yeah, so this is okay. I'm gonna bring that back because I got to set up all the audio still. Like I said, guys, this is what you signed up for. This is what you all get.
Yep. Now we've got audio.
Now we've got audio, and then I can't add the it won't let me work on the audio for the other scene. Okay, give me 1 second. Or yeah, give me 1 second to fix this, and it's like that, and then we'll be talking.
Okay.
I forgot all about like the audio sources and stuff. Browser, is that what I want? Or here, what's the one I need? Oh, that's what I need. Gotcha. Okay, now they should be able to hear us.
Okay.
Yes. Okay.
Pull
Yes.
it up on my end.
I believe everybody can hear us. Yes, I'm sorry, Evela Music, Clone Geek, Zero, yep. Reeve, everybody who's here. Like I said, we are still trying to work out all the bugs here, so you will see us working on stuff, fixing things as the night goes on. But you said it was good, Andrew? You can hear it now?
Yeah, I can
Perfect. So yeah, the what I was saying was when this cover, So yeah, took a big 3-year break from taking or not 3-year. You were taking 3-year break. I took like I guess almost a decade break because
shoot.
2014. As soon as all of that stuff went down with what was that?
That's the all new, all different era.
That is the all new, all different era. That era.
That was a good time to jump out.
I checked out the Miss Marvel series, the very first one, the Kamala Khan one, because that was getting a bunch of hype, and that one actually I do like it. It's a solid. It's not the best thing ever. It is kind of a retread of the modern day what do you call it, like the Spider-Man
Sure,
like the teenage superhero mythos, you know what I mean, like the oh, I gotta hide it from my parents, I gotta make sure everybody doesn't see it, yada 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 yada, like
the
that
story
kind of
we've
stuff.
seen a dozen times.
Yeah, so it's basically it is that so it wasn't anything amazing, but I was a big solid fan of it. But that was the era. It was Secret Wars. That was legitimately the thing that pissed me off so much that I was like, I can't do this anymore.
Hail Hydra, right?
No, that's Secret Empire. That's Secret Empire.
You are correct. That is Secret Empire. Yeah.
Because see, Secret War. My problem with Secret War, and I know you in particular are probably sick of hearing me talk about this, but the entire, for those who don't remember, the entire premise of Secret Wars was, oh look, we are ending all of our continuities, we're smashing them all together, we're going to reboot everything.
It's just the 616 universe, and
bingo. It was very much their attempt at a new 52. A crisis and a new 52, right?
Yeah.
Reset everything, make our continuity better, and after that's all said and done, we'll be able to tell better stories. But like the new 52, they kind of blinked at the very end, right? Because New 52, they went, we're doing a whole reset, except for Batman and Green Lantern. Those are we're gonna keep those ones because they're in the middle of something.
We're keeping most of Batman's mythos, except we condensed it all into like the span of 2 years. So everything happened within the span of 2 years that you're going to be led to believe, right?
Like he went through Robins in like 3 months. Like that was the most bonkers part of that entire new updated timeline.
And then almost nothing changed with Green Lantern.
Green
nothing.
Lantern
Was just
that was my favorite though.
Over there.
That was my favorite. It was like, oh, all of that still happened. It's just it's over in space. Like it doesn't really matter. Time dilation, deal with it. And I was like, you know what? Fine, I'm okay with that. Like Green Lantern, you get the pass. But and also before I keep going, let's see, who's saying that? Evele, not to be nitpicky, audio douche, but there's a fan or white noise going on. Sounds like that might have been me clicking around and moving things with the layout. I'll try to keep muting myself. If it keeps happening, let me know. I do know I need a new microphone. I realized that this week being on the Pro Show, so that's probably coming next week as well. So bear with us. Give us all your feedback. Give us all your nitpicks. Give us everything, because that's what we need right now. But yeah, so Secret Wars, it was let's collapse everything, and I was so excited because Marvel was kind of stagnant. And were you reading the Ultimate Universe near the very, very end, Andrew? Like when it was just Miles as the only Spider-Man there?
So I read only a little bit of when Miles was when he replaced Peter, right? And I was just like, I'm not here for it, because this is so a lot of people. It's always funny, and we're not doing the culture war chat here, but people whenever I say, I'm not a fan of Miles, get rid of them, like, oh well, you're just racist, right? I'm like, no, you don't understand. Get rid of all of them who are not Peter. That's where I land, and I know that there are people that disagree with me. You would be one of them. Ben Reilly is like your favorite boy, and I totally understand and respect that, but I would toss out every one of those MFers, like all of them, in a heartbeat. They have cool designs. Ben Reilly has one of the best designed suits of all time. It is absolutely stunning. I love Spider-Gwen.
I know, with the purple and the glow and everything. It's one of the best costumes of all time.
It's super good. It's a really genuinely good design. Even Miles has a cool design for some of his suits. Other ones are kind of like bland, and then there's the stupid one where it's like the hoodie. It's like, did you really just turn him into like a freaking street rat? Like
the one where it goes, it's not even a hoodie. It's like like a half mask.
Yeah, it's like
thing.
up to here. It's like, what are you doing? Like, come on. And I like Spider-Woman's design, Julia Carpenter specifically.
Yeah.
Because I do like I like the contrast between like her flowing red hair behind the black suit with the white
with
spider.
the
Like
white,
that always looked cool to me.
That I always did like that a lot.
Yeah, it's a good design, but I just it's like Marvel decided, okay, so we got a little bit of grace with people on some of these characters. Let's see how far we can take it. So now we've got, clone Peter, who isn't a a literal clone. You got Kane and you got Ben, but now we've got Miles, who may as well be, right? To the point where we're replicating Peter's story arcs and we're replicating all sorts of other stuff.
It goes even further than that, right? Like we had the Clone Saga back in the day, and so it was like, okay, we got Kane, we got Peter, we got Ben. That was the joke, was like, oh, there's so many spider people. But now, with the success of the Spider-Verse event and then the movies, that's all that happens now, is like we get 9 Spider-Verse book events a year. Like,
dude, I'm reading Spider Society right now, much to my chagrin, and I'm like,
so dumb.
This is a stupid book right now. I'm really only good. I think it's a 6-part series.
It's something.
I hope to God it's not longer than that, because I don't think I could take more than that. Because right now it's just like, come on, like I'm not even a Miguel fan, but like give me more of him at least, because none of these other clowns I care about at all. Like Miguel at least has a cool suit. Well, like and I can let Miguel slide because he's in freaking 2099.
Yeah,
so it's
he's
like,
a future.
all right,
he's
well,
not around when the rest of them are.
Yeah, you're Batman Beyond. All right, fine, whatever. Like,
like
I will entertain the idea.
Yeah, you're Spider-Man Beyond. And I think that's another good point too, is that with Miles, it's like you had Peter and Ben and Kane running around, and Peter and Ben were battling over Spider-Man, right? It wasn't like we can both be it. It was like, I am Spider-Man, you're Spider. No, only one of us can be Spider. There's only one Spider-Man. Now it's just like, oh, you want to be a Spider-Man? Okay. You're a Spider-Man. You're a Spider-Man.
You get a Spider title.
Spider-Boy is a thing now. Like, it's just...
And Spider-Girl.
See, I always liked Spider-Girl Mayday. And then I liked Aranya.
I'm talking about the one that like just was announced. So with the little pigtails and whatever. Like I'm like, come on, like really right now? This is the wrong time to be adding 8 million more spider people and spider folk.
What are you talking about? It's the perfect time. They just they've still got time to add them into the next background shot of Beyond the Spider-Verse. So they're gonna be okay.
Beyond Peter. And when I say Peter, I mean 616, as we know him, Peter Parker, Spider-Man. I will accept Mayday Parker, and I will accept Annie Mae Parker. That's it. That's basically it. Because at that point, you're like, okay, so like that was part of his DNA. Now they're his descendants. Blah blah blah. All right, like Spider-Girl back in the day, that was a fun book. And then I really, as much as I am not exactly a fan of Dan Slott for numerous reasons, Renew Your Vows was a fun.
Did he write that
series?
Was that actually him?
Renew Your Vows. That was like a positive contribution, because that was
really hard for me to believe.
He did. Okay, so maybe somebody else ghostwrote it. I guess that's entirely possible, but it wouldn't be the first time somebody has their name on the credits, but somebody else actually did the work. That is the thing. But to my point, like Renew Your Vows was rock solid, and it did line up with something that a buddy of mine told me. He had a conversation with Slott at a convention. This was back when I was living in Washington, so I forget if it was at Emerald City Comic Con, or if it was either that or it was Seattle, one of those, right? Or Rose, one of those.
Is C2E2 over there, right? Isn't that one of them?
C2E2 Chicago.
That is Chicago. I never remember it. If it's not like San Diego Comic Con, New York Comic Con, and then I know like Dragon Con's a thing in Atlanta.
Yeah.
And then those are the only ones I can ever. Oh, and Anime Expo. Those are the only ones I'm ever like sure of.
Yeah, no, exactly. But he told my buddies, like, I actually wanted to put Pete and MJ back together, and the editors wouldn't let me. And so I don't know how much truth there is to that, but that's what he said. And then he wrote Renew Your Vows, at least the first, I think it was a 6-issue mini. Before
5, 6.
Was it Conway took over?
That's what Clone Geeks got us. He did the first mini, and then Gary Conway did the ongoing.
Okay, yeah, I was stupid, and I have my Spider books like on my bottom shelf right now because that's where Marvel is for my trades, and like I can't read the spines where I'm sitting. And so I was going to try and reach and pull out my entire Renew Your Vows trade set. And I was like, yeah, I can't read what I'm reaching for. But yeah, what I was saying, like he did a good job putting them together. And I was like, okay, so like they're making this a familial thing, right? Like,
Right.
so we've got Peter. Peter is elevated in this series. He is shown to be a good father and a good husband. He's doing everything he possibly can for his family, right? This is something that finally went right in his life to a degree. Everything else had to go to hell first before they correct that by the end of the mini. But they had him in a good spot. And they did a good job with Annie Mae, and they did a good job with MJ as Spinneret. I was like, all right, like I'm here for it. Like, so what's the solution to like Pete suiting back up again in a world that does need its heroes back? But he's still like super worried about his family. Well, instead of them coming to his house, all right, fine. I'm just gonna bring y'all with me, and we're gonna leverage every bit of my intellect and know-how when it comes to the tech for designing MJ's suit and Annie Mae's suit. I was like, all right, I'm here for it. This is fine.
You're not crapping on him or showing him, broken to make another character seem better. You're not Jake Skywalkering him.
No, you're not. And that hasn't been done since until this.
Until the reason we are here. Like if it weren't
this is why I started picking up books again.
That's 100% why I started picking up books, started, reading solicits again. And I got to admit, like, I only so far have one of, they're not standard size boxes, Andrew, the Marvel ones that we always buy, the graphic print ones. They're like 3/4 of one or whatever. I've only got like a half box of that full so far, but like, I forgot how much fun it is, like, going and getting a book and finding a book that you've been looking for a while. Like, so like, yeah, thank you, Hickman, for finally giving us kind of what we all wanted and showing us that like comics can be good again. Honestly, at this point, I'm ready to hand all of Marvel over to Jonathan Hickman. Everything he's writing right now, from Ultimate Spider-Man to Venom War to Aliens versus Avengers, like that, it doesn't miss. Even
you and I have had this conversation too, because I've made it no secret how like Hickman is super hit and miss with me.
Oh yeah.
Where like sometimes he goes he goes full Hickman, and it's like, bro, okay, like, can we get like 3/4 Hickman and maybe have something that's like like you're a bit much right now for me, okay? But then you get what he was giving us, especially in that first 6-issue arc for Ultimate, where you have just some of the best character work when it comes to Peter and his loved ones. Like, dude, that scene up on the rooftop when his daughter was helping him bang out the design for the suit, that was perfect.
One of the absolute best. Like, that was
some of the most Peter Parker lines I have read.
Some of the most Peter Parker lines, some of the best, like, family father-daughter interaction. Like, this is genuinely how people would interact. And also, I know Andrew and I just went out and we're gushing about Ben, like, and his costume and stuff, but admittedly, it is very like 90s hardcore. Like, it's very outdated, and it is a joke among Spider fans, I guess you would say is the right term.
I love it. I love the denim cutoff and
the denim cutoff that goes up to his like stomach a little bit, like he's working at Hooters. It's so ridiculous, but see, we can make fun of it. It's sort of like you can make fun of your friends and your family, but the second somebody else does, because they don't get it, they don't deep down actually respect it, that's when you go like, I don't like this. This is messed up. But here,
there's the page.
Yeah, there's the page. I love that this respects all of the different, like, these are all fan favorite spider suits right here. You've got the symbiote, you've got Ben, you've got a mix of Miguel and the Iron Spider, and then you've got the fantastic, like the new Fantastic Four suit, right? So like, they're making fun of these, right? Like, there's my favorite line, I think it's one of yours, where it's like, where he transforms it. You mean like less scary, more cool and red? Well, I do like red, but it's not cool, Dad, at all. You're so old, right? Like, rude kid, but I love it, and it's the joke we're all in on. It's not one of those scenes where it's like, oh, why would I wear this? And then the character like throws it in a dumpster or something. This is going like,
Yeah.
guys, this is the equivalent of like you find your parents' photo album and you go, Mom, what were you wearing? And they go,
Yeah, exactly.
It was the 80s. Okay,
Yeah,
it was the
and that's
80s.
the exact response too. Or like, what did you do with your hair here? Like, what is this? It's like it was the 80s. And so, yeah, no, that's exactly the kind of respect that this was. And it's funny that you mentioned that that third panel there is a mix of Miguel and the Iron Spider. I hadn't even thought about that initially, and it actually kind of works.
I kind of like it. I kind of
It
really,
kinda
really like it.
works.
I'm sad we'll probably never see it again. Maybe it'll show up in like a video game because they always do that. But,
Yeah, or somebody will make a mod for it. in the
oh, a
video
mod,
game.
definitely. But yeah, I saw that and I was like, I like it. I like the gold. I like the red. There's something about it that's really cool. Not a big
But
fan
also
of the black with webs though. I think they're doing
Yeah,
a Raimi take, but
I was gonna say that just reminds me of the Raimi symbiote suit, which I actually wasn't particularly fond of.
It
In
was
that movie,
fine.
I don't. It just didn't quite work. It's like you're gonna do the black suit, do the black suit.
the reason I think the black suit didn't work in that movie is because it was literally just a black version of the suit. It wasn't a new suit. He didn't even get like a new spider. It was just your costume is black now, and it's like okay, fine. It technically
You just
works,
put the
but
black and white filter on over.
That's
over
that's
the camera.
literally
That's
all they
literally
did,
it was.
and it was kind of a bummer. I mean, there's a whole bunch of problems with that entire movie, but
Yeah, but that is definitely among them. But then you had great work between Peter and MJ in this series so far too. Like the final page on issue 6, you know which one I'm talking about, where they close out that first
my
arc.
gosh, yes.
And it was just like, why is he not writing 616 Peter right now? I can't believe I'm about to utter these words. Jonathan Hickman, save our boy.
At this point, I feel like he's the only one who can. Or like, we know at this point that Marvel straight up just hates Spider-Man. It's one of my favorite meme phrases, and I wish I was a video maker, like a recorded video maker, because I think it would be a great title and a great thesis. But like, nobody hates Spider-Man more than actual Marvel Comics, right? Like, they keep crapping on him. You and I have talked about this a lot on my own streams and in your Discord, if anybody has caught those. But in the current Wells run, the Zeb Wells run, which is abysmal and just absolute garbage, almost every issue they print a letter from somebody in the letters pages, which means they have to voluntarily read it and go, let's put that one in, transcribe it, put it in here, copy and paste it, make sure it's all here. And it's always a letter where somebody is very respectful and they're going, hey, I've been a longtime Spider-Man fan. I'm not really, like, I think whatever's going on right now isn't that great. And I think maybe it would be cool if, why don't you undo one more day? That's what a lot of us want. There's letters like that almost every issue.
The vast majority of us want.
There's letters like that every issue, and yet current Spider editor Nick Lowe just goes, "Oh, what are you talking about? You're just a minority opinion, okay? People love this story, so we're gonna keep on keeping on." And it's just like,
no,
I don't.
Nick Lowe,
this is your.
You're the minority opinion.
Like this is your Batman, right? Like
Yeah.
Marvel's Trinity is Wolverine's, or it's Spider-Man, Wolverine, Hulk. That is, at least it was until the MCU came around. Now I don't even know where you want to put those rankings, but I do know Spider-Man's still at the top. Like, he's still number one. So, like, I don't know why what they do in the main book is they ruin his character. They just treat him like a sad sack of crap. And then, like we were talking about with the Spider Society stuff, they just devalue his character. They just keep introducing new and new Spider people who all do the same things he does, but can do them better. Right? Like,
he no longer feels special. He no longer feels unique. He no longer feels like he matters by way of exactly what you just said, by way of him no longer being anything remotely like a unique character at this point, because they copy him ad nauseum. They'll change things here and there about the character, whether it's in the same universe or whether it's in a different variant multiversal issue. It's just a copy ultimately when it comes down to it, no matter who it is for the most part. And then how they write him in his own universe, like they have devalued and destroyed him, and it just shows that they keep putting people on the character who not only don't know anything about the character, but also clearly don't like the character. Like, I'll give Nick Spencer this much credit, even though
I know you're not a fan of that run.
he here's the thing. He got clipped at the knees by Marvel editorial when it came to his wanting to reestablish Peter and MJ as being a thing, and that being the status quo, because that's how he ended issue 1. And I was like, okay, all right, well, you got me on board at least after this first issue. Let's see where it goes. And there were a couple of fun arcs, and then it was just kind of like meh, and a lot of boring for me. But I will
Yeah.
say that there was some good dialogue with Pete, at least. Just like the overarching story and the direction of it just kind of felt super underwhelming. Like I wasn't
No.
excited to read it outside of I enjoyed the was it the Thieves Guild arc? That was fun. That was
Oh
like
yeah,
the
yeah.
second or third arc, I think.
That
And
that was
then
really early.
yeah, that one was super early and that was fun. But then the one with Craven, or no, it was Craven's son, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was Craven's son.
That was kind of fun too, and I was like, all right, like I'm here for this. This is fun. It probably didn't hurt that my boy Humberto Ramos was doing interiors on both of those arcs.
So yeah, of course you're gonna be jazzed about it.
But outside of that, I was just like, this is, I don't know. Like I was reading the Spider-Man comic, and I'm like, I'd chuckle or chortle here or there at a Peter line, but I wasn't having the kind of fun I expect to
yeah.
have when I'm reading a Spider-Man comic.
Well, I think the big problem with that run is, because I agree with you. I'm a little more favorable to the run because, as we'll probably talk about, he did do a lot of, yeah, exactly, like Clone Geek is pointing out, his run was a cleanup run, fixing other people's crap. So, like, I appreciate it for seeing, like, obviously you can't just do, like, oh, everything's fixed, move on. You have to have the, like, build it up. So I respect him for doing that build up and taking the time to clean everything out. But I agree with you. Ultimately, it was so kind of blasé. I think the big problem was Harry
as the main. It was super forgettable.
Well, it was super forgettable, but it was that whole focus on Harry as that stupid Kindred villain, where it's like this occult, like occult demon bug monster thing. I know Peter fights like supernatural things all the time. Like he fights like vermin, and he's fought like nightmare. Like he fights these, but it just feels like a really weird. Like that feels like a villain that would be going and fighting Moon Knight. Or maybe the X-Men. Maybe Daredevil at best, because it's like Japanese demon ninja hand stuff. But having that be like he was like, it was Harry, that was stupid, and then it's like, oh, I'm going to clean everybody's sins, but I'm going to take it was a mess at the very, very end of it. Thanks for hanging out, Evelyn Music. And I'm so sorry about the white noise. I'm going to try and fix it just for you. I promise.
He produces and makes music, so that's probably why he's a bit of a sound snob.
Oh no, I'm right there with him. If I were on the other side, I'm sure I would be like, I hear it, I'm going to scream my brains out.
He's good people.
Oh no, don't feel bad at all. Again, please call us out, guys. Let us know if you hear anything wrong, see anything wrong. If something is not working on your end, let us know. That is why we are here tonight. So Clone Geek brings up how to fix Spider-Man, an event where Peter goes to hell to fight Mephisto for his marriage. Let's hang on to that real quick. I want to switch over to our comic panels, or to our comic layout, but obviously I need to put the audio sources and stuff into it. So we're gonna give me 1 second to.
We'll get there.
Yeah, we will get there, guys. Don't worry. At least this one has the camera already, so I just need to add the audio sources. That's nice. All right, I'm back, and now we will get Andrew is back. Andrew's back. There we go. We got.
I am back. I am here in all my glory.
Look at that. I at least had the cameras working on this one, so I didn't have to like resize it. That makes me really happy. Let me see if I can grab it offhand because there's something very.
That's a very cover I have too.
This one, yeah. I was so mad. I almost got baited into starting this issue or this series because the very first one had
an Art Germ Gwen.
Art Germ Gwen, and I was like, oh, that is so pretty.
That's why I picked it up.
Oh man.
Otherwise, I would have passed on it. And now I'm just kind of like, all right, I guess.
You're like, now I'm stuck here. Now I kind of like gotta deal with it.
Right. If I had chosen just to buy the first one and then end it there, I think I could have lived with myself. But getting just 2 issues out of an event that's whatever, probably a 6-part series, like that would bug my OCD way too
Oh,
much.
I know. That's half the reason I'm still like that's why for those of you who don't know, they did the current X-Men series. J. Scott Campbell, who is our boy here, it's like his favorite artist. He did a bunch of, for the first, what is it, 5 issues, right? He did variant covers of all of various X-Girls. It's Psylocke, Magic, Rogue, Emma, and Jean. And I really, really liked I like him as an artist, but he's not somebody I would go, I need to run out and grab that variant from him.
Sure.
But I saw the Magic one, and I went, that Magic cover is so beyond gorgeous that I need to pick up like this book. I need to read it.
I think the one that he did for the upcoming Magic series is even better.
Magic series? Like the Magic the Gathering?
No, just Magic is she's getting her own mini.
Oh. Yeah. I don't know why my brain completely flopped over there. I know exactly. Yeah. Like Magic with a K. Got it now.
Yeah. Ileana.
Yeah, Ileana, which I'm very, very excited for that series. It looks like it's going to be pretty dang good. Wait, where does this continue? What are you guys doing to me? I found the book I'm looking for, but oh man, I totally forgot that Nick Spencer's run had the awful Spider-Man suit where he like the streamer suit.
Oh gosh.
I get that it was like a goofy sort of, what do you want to call it? It could have been goofy, but it was just, I don't know, it just didn't work. It was so bad.
Turning Peter into Screwball.
Turning Peter into Screwball. And it didn't even look good, I guess is kind of what I'm getting at, right? Like it didn't even look like a cool design. I don't know who thought that would have been good.
No, it wasn't. It was a pretty middling design at best.
All right, finally I found it. So this is, what do we have? I don't want to talk about Spider Society, and I've got like 9 books. Which one is it going to pop up? Perfect. Okay, this is the page I wanted to talk about, because as you guys can see, and I'm going to zoom in a little bit, what is basically happening is that at the end of Spencer's run, Doctor Strange goes and confronts Mephisto, and he realizes something is wrong with Peter's soul. He's like, something is wrong here. You had something to do with it. What is it? And he kind of, talks about like, why do you have this strange fascination with Peter? And Mephisto says like, because he's the best of us. It's so hard to. He's the like I see
He's
the
heroiest hero of all of the heroes.
Well, basically, like, I see the throne, my dominion, my reign, and then I see the one who ends it, and it's Spider-Man, right? Like, he's afraid of him, and so that's why he keeps messing with him. But right here, Spencer ended his run with this tease of, Strange says, like, you've never attacked Peter, and then Mephisto references one more day, and then Mephisto says, one can never tell what the future holds, and it shows the future with Mayday back in action and in the role of stopping him. Like, it's the same vision right here, but with Mayday. So Nick was trying to set this up, and I mean, the issue ends with this, they're together again. They're swinging, they're happy, they're kissing, and then Zeb Wells, everybody! Zeb Wells comes in and immediately steamrolls over both MJ and Ben and Peter and everybody else in his life, and it's just
Paul,
it's so
bro.
Paul, don't you guys all like Paul, who doesn't even have a last name and has 0 character outside of I exist? Like, that's his only character. That's all he does.
Yeah. That feels like a character that freaking Nick Lowe probably came up with. And it's like, you're using this character.
Oh,
and there was literally no thought put into him beyond that.
Well, the thought was,
throw a wrench in Peter and
that
MJ,
was it. That's exactly what I was going to say.
That hasn't been done enough times.
The point of Paul was shock value. That's why there is nothing to his story. Like, when you ask anybody, just tell me about Paul, there's nothing to tell, because he just exists as, I'm the obstacle to Peter now, right? They even had that stupid, oh look, him and MJ have kids and they're in this alternate dimension, and the kids just disappeared, and they've never followed up on it. Like, a big development that they've just straight up never, ever, 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 ever followed up on.
Nothing.
All right.
And that is weak writing.
I mean, that's the Wells run to an absolute T at this point. Is just weak writing after weak writing after weak writing. Yeah.
It's
Okay.
actually
So
a good panel there too.
oh, this one. Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's your boy Ramos. I actually really like this panel. This is a sort of like hope and optimism that I want out of my relationship with these two, right? Because the entire reason I thought of this is because you were bringing up the Ultimate Spider-Man and like their relationship in that universe, and my favorite bit about their relationship in that universe is in the very, very, very first issue of Ultimate Spider-Man when like here I've got
Is
it.
this going to change anything between us?
Yes.
He says no.
Yes. Right.
Go get
here,
him, Tiger.
Right, like this to me, we see so many, like, you know, Peter is here, he's scared, he's gonna make a big life change, he can't tell MJ about all of it. How many times have we seen this, not just for these two, but in comic books, in video games, TV, blah, blah, blah. It's a very cheap avenue for drama. You don't trust me. Oh my gosh, he's hiding something from me. I can never, who are you? You're not the man I married. But here, where she goes, I hear you, I love you, like, this is you, and she just asked, instead of freaking out or getting mad, she just asked that question. Is this going to change anything between us? No. Go get him. Like, you don't see that level of, like, good, healthy, supportive, like, relationship in these books, and I feel like we should just have more of that in general. Not even, again, not for, like, a culture war thing, but it's just depressing going, like, oh, they're together, they're going to break up. Oh, Peter's going to be sad again.
That shouldn't be the default, right?
Right. That's exactly what I'm getting at. Like, just give us something. Let them grow. In the most recent Amazing Spider-Man, Nick Lowe basically was like, oh, we all had a talk, and the idea of Spider-Man growing with the reader isn't something we think appeals to them, because then younger generations are going to get left behind. And I'm like, that's what... You're Western comic books. That you guys do reboots all the time. Don't even give me that. Right?
Like, why are you trying to sell me that?
Yeah, you're trying to, this is like, and then B, I think a lot of people would want that, right? Like, at least for me, I kind of really liked seeing Peter as a kid. Like, I identified with Peter. I was like the outcast. I was sort of a jerk sometimes. I didn't have all the friends, yada yada. So seeing him being able to, like, grow up and, you know, do better, get better jobs, put himself out there, fall in love with somebody, and have, like, a good, healthy relationship, like, that was semi-aspirational. Like, that would be cool to have in my life. And now I can't imagine what it must feel for a kid now to go, oh, I like Spider-Man, but he's gonna get, you know, why he's dating them, they're gonna get broken up. They're dating them.
Yeah, relationships suck. Why would I ever want one?
That's exactly.
Like, that's the kind of mentality you're instilling in people at this point.
Yes, but you hit it on the nail. That's what I was looking for, and you got it.
Thank you. And even more importantly than that, when Peter finally reached that point in his maturity where he was steady and with MJ, they got married and they were together. That was the default now. That was the status quo. This is Peter Parker. This is a new aspect of his life. We have moved on. You can still grow characters, but, like, not have them suffering through the exact same thing for their entire existence. That becomes stale. So it becomes stale if Peter is always having job issues, money issues, and relationship issues.
Which is all they ever do. Yeah,
that's all they do with them now. You have to start chipping away at those, right? And so at that point in his development, they'd chipped away at the relationship thing, right? Their relationship wasn't perfect. There were still moments, but they were still strong. And so despite everything else that was going on, no matter how bad of a day he had, he could still crawl in through that window and he was coming home to his wife, right? The world outside of that window was nothing but hell and ass for him for the last 24 hours, right? He had a rough day at the office, but he came home to his smoking hot redheaded wife and things were okay, at least for the night. Right? You had to give him some hope.
One of my favorite moments that sort of embodies that is, I believe I'm pretty sure it's during the not J.R. Jr. because he's the artist. J. Michael Straczynski during his run, which is probably my favorite Spider-Man one of all time. Hickman's Ultimate is getting up there, but that's Ultimate. That's an asterisk. But there's this. I forget what the entire setup of the issue is, but for some reason, like, Peter is like, oh, I'll be home soon or whatever, and he like goes out to web swing. He's like, I'll bring back like dinner or something, and he goes out to web swing, and he gets caught up in fighting or whatever. Something happens. The end of the issue is MJ like in bed, and Peter's sneaking in through the window with like a bag of like McDonald's. And he's like trying to sneak in, and she's like, "If that is if you brought back hamburger,
Thanos,
yeah, if that's what it was. Like, if that wasn't Thanos, like you're sleeping on the couch or whatever." And he like slowly like backs out of the room. Like that to me, that's what it is. Like, yeah, they have their struggles, but like that's loving. Like that is he knew that he could be safe enough to come home with McDonald's, and yeah, she didn't want it right now, but she's not divorcing him like all these other love interests would.
It's there used to be so much good stuff going on in Spider-Man comics, and now there is, as long as it's not 616 Peter.
As long as it's not 616 Peter. And Venom's doing cool, I guess. We got a bunch of awesome stuff coming out of Venom.
And I guess, to be fair, Venom War Spider-Man has been doing Peter pretty well.
Venom War Spider-Man, I love it because it is a book where you can tell who's writing it. It's not like I know Greg Land's drawing it, unfortunately,
Greg
which
Land
is just
drawing it, which is kind of hard for me to get past, but
it's so hard.
I can't help but enjoy the event itself.
Right, like the writing there is so good, but then I'm like, Greg Land, you
Kelly,
stop.
where the hell? I'm gonna have to actually crack the thing open. Hold on. I had to reach over to my short box that has all my Marvel comics, which is only a couple of feet away. But where is it? It's Colin Kelly. That's what it was.
Yes,
Colin
Kelly. That's right. Yeah, Kelly knows what he's doing when it comes to writing.
This book right here, this tie-in series for the Venom War event really reads like Colin Kelly either didn't get the memo on how Spider-Man editorial wants things done, or he got the memo and was like, nah.
to me, because Kelly's been a writer for like a while. Like he's a really established like comic book writer. So I feel that he just went no. I feel like he just straight up said, I don't want to deal with any of that. Because for those of you who aren't aware or aren't checking out, there are a lot. So this mini is basically Spider-Man and MJ fighting this giant, stupid symbiote monster, the strongest monster ever that nobody ever knew.
Even Null was afraid of, right?
I kind of the Arachnia thing. You can sort of see it right here. It's this big Cthulhu type thing that they're fighting. I think it's real. I hate that. I think the entire monster thing is really stupid. Because of that angle of like, oh, even Null was afraid of it, but we didn't know about it till now.
Where I was like, Null afraid of anything? Like he basically is fear. Like
Null killed a god.
Well be Parallax. Yeah.
Null killed the god of superheroes. He's not going to be afraid of his own creation, essentially, right? Like it's essentially the equivalent of like God being afraid of an atomic bomb. Like it's just that's not how this stuff works.
Yeah,
but
it really doesn't.
But what is gripping both me and Andrew, and I think I can speak for both of us about this, is the dialogue by Kelly, or not the dialogue per se, but the interaction between Peter and MJ and the way he treats their relationship. Like you've got
the interactions between him and the Venom symbiote have been so good in this
awesome.
Event.
The Venom War, like that panel or that exchange in the Venom War 1 where the symbiote's like on his chair and he's kind of like a scared dog. Like, I don't want to go anywhere. Like, I'm going to hurt people. And
also when he was just like, don't freak out.
I actually did laugh at that when Peter like opens his closet and he sees it. He's like, don't freak out. And I'm like, well, just another day for Spider-Man, right?
Right. But I love, and I feel like this is completely intentional by Kelly. The voice of the Venom symbiote currently, at least with regards to when MJ is in the scene or like in the vicinity and the Venom symbiote is commenting and commentating on all this stuff with Paul. Who's Paul? Right? Like he's getting angry. I feel like that's Kelly like giving us fans a voice like on the page. Like he is very much meant to be the self-insert, not for Kelly,
Yes.
but for us Spider-Man
us.
fans, right? It's like, I know how you feel right now, and I'm giving you a voice on the page.
And that's a good vehicle. Like, instead of, making Flash Thompson or like Aunt May give a really ham-fisted speech about it, like a lot of writers do.
Why are you two not together? Blah, blah,
Right,
blah.
like this is the right way to, like, this is a good vehicle because Venom, that's sort of what he would be. He would be brash. He doesn't get nuance. He's not, he doesn't care about you. Like in this panel here, right? They're fighting and the symbiote's going, she really is incredible. She was yours. And now you bury that love, even though it gives you life. Humans, I will never understand, right? Like that's, that's the kind of thing he'll just like go through and he'll cut through the noise and just sort of kind of like Drax. Like what am I what is the term I'm trying to look for here? He's very straightforward. That's I think what it is, right? Like he's not
very frank.
Yeah, very frank. I think that's what I wanted to say.
That panel 4
this
face that is the most Greg Land face that I can possibly imagine.
Both of these, like both of these are super Greg Land face. I bet we could find 90 different covers and panels where that MJ face was used. Like I'm pretty sure, Andrew. Hold up. I think I let me pull up the cover for it real quick. I just realized this, and I don't want to say it because it'll give away what I'm trying to say. But here we got to go back to our browser real quick. Over here, so I can set this up. Okay, so that Greg Land face, I'm 90% sure that's the same face that's on the cover of issue 1.
That's basically the same face.
I'm like 90% sure that's the same face because we've got that, and then we have. Everybody get that in your mind? That's the same face. That's the exact same face.
That's the same face. It's just turned slightly.
Yeah, it's turned slightly, and then the one on the cover has some symbiote going on his face because it's coming over. Like, stop giving this man work.
Yeah, please. Like, I would have been over the moon if you would put Humberto Ramos on this book instead.
He's not even on anything. He's not on one of these books, which was very, very surprising.
He's not. The only book he's on right now is Spectacular Spider-Man, which is the only reason why I'm reading that.
I was really disappointed by that book because I actually like Greg Weisman a lot. Like, he wrote Teen Titans, or not Teen Titans, Young Justice, Gargoyles. He's got the original Spectacular Spider-Man cartoon. So I'm like, this will be great. It's just so boring. It's so boring.
It's just kind of meh. Like there was an interesting concept for that first arc, but the delivery was just kind of super disjointed and underwhelming, and it felt like it wrapped up super quick. So it felt like there was all this really, really slow, disjointed build-up to a finale that ended like that. And I was like, well, I guess at least I got to look at more pretty Humberto Ramos art. So
right, that's really all you can ask for. No, like that arc also did the really sort of what I consider to be really boring thing, which is, like we're gonna give you what you really wanted. We're giving you the reality you never had or whatever. And it's
the obvious holodeck issue.
Yes, that's exactly what it is. And then of course, I'm not a fan of comic book Gwen. I've always thought she was kind of like a C tier love. I just never liked her. I just thought she was always sort of I don't want to say vapid is the right word, but like like flippant, not really that serious. I don't know. I'm so anytime they reunite him with Gwen, I just kind of go like, oh my gosh, especially because as we were talking about, we've had so many years of development with MJ that like, yes, it's tragedy, and I'm not going to say like, Peter, get over it. But at a certain point, I think that a man
her death is something he'll always carry with him. But like, he is romantically moved on.
That's what I mean, right? Like, it'll always sting with him, and he'll always miss her, and he'll always be like, I could have saved her, it's on me. But at a certain point, I feel like you would stop pining, like, I have MJ. This is my life now. She's objectively better, at least in my opinion. Like,
no, I don't think that's opinion. I think that's fact. I honestly, that was
MJ,
one of those
Black Cat, Gwen.
That was one of the I'd have to disagree with you on the second one. I don't know who I put in the second spot because I think Felicia is horrible for Peter. Because I look at that in the same way as I do Selena and Bruce. It's actually kind of a toxic relationship.
okay, I see it. I can see that, but I think what I like about I don't like them together. Like let me make that clear.
I like their banter together. I don't like the idea of a relationship.
Right. I don't like the idea of a full committed relationship to them, but I like Felicia as somebody he did have a relationship with, because I think at that time that was that transition period from Peter being the sort of awkward schoolboy to I want it, like, I'm an adult, I can go out,
I'm a man now.
Right. And so like I think their interaction, like her playfulness with him and bringing him out of his shell, I really liked, and then him sort of leaning into it. I thought they had a good dynamic. It's not one where I was like, I'd be like get them together, have them get married, but I would go like, that's like fun summer fling, right? Like I get that for you too.
It was one of those things that for sure she resulted in some strong character growth for him. I would absolutely agree with that.
And I also really like a lot when they bring it up for her. They don't do it a lot, but when she's like, I messed that up. Like I do love him for who he is, for the geeky guy he is, and I screwed that up and I couldn't get past it, and I know I can't do any, like, I think that's amazing on that end.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I would agree with that 100%. In Spectacular Spider-Man, I'm with you. It annoys me that they did the stupid holodeck, utopian life to begin with, but the fact that they set him up to be married and have kids with Gwen instead of it being MJ in there just kind of added insult to injury, right?
Whoops, yes, I was muted. Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. Like, it was right there. You had that opportunity. Why did it have to be Gwen? Like, so odd.
They did. I'm pretty sure that was probably a Spider-Man editorial decision where they were like, no, we don't want to remind the fans that they actually want Peter and MJ together, right? Because that would just all of a sudden that issue would have like skyrocketed in terms of its sales.
Oh yeah.
And then they don't want that being rubbed in their face, right?
Well, like
I hate to tell you, Nick Lowe, but this is your best-selling book right now.
Like that, that stings to them too. That they have to walk in every day going like, we're Amazing Spider-Man and Ultimate Spider-Man. Everybody loves it, and absolutely nobody wants anything to do with Amazing, because it's just it's bad. Do you remember?
Amazingly bad.
Do you remember House of M, when they like with Peter's reality, where he was a pro wrestler and he was married to Gwen? That pissed me off because at the time he was still married to MJ. Mm-hmm. Like, and so that implied to me that his big deep, like, again, like I was just complaining about, like, he's still not over Gwen, and I'm like, move on, like, just please, like,
it didn't sit right with me either.
It was so, it was dumb. I really like that House of M costume, by the way, but I don't. Everything else about Spider-Man's role in that series was kind of bad. Did you read? I know you don't like the run or the whole thing specifically, but Ultimate Spider-Man, how much of it did you read? If I know you read like the beginning.
So I read the first couple of arcs, and I was like, well, this is fine. It's a modernization at the time in the 2000s. That didn't mean what it does today.
Which meant Peter gets a cell phone, not Peter gets
instead of
online.
wearing a bow tie.
Right, exactly.
And so bow tie and friggin' sweater vest, right? So
bring it back.
So I was like, this is fine, but I don't need it. Like, I'd rather just focus on main universe Peter. I have a lot of friends. A good buddy of mine absolutely like, that's like his favorite run of Spider-Man of all time. Like the first few arcs of the of the Bendis and Bagley, Ultimate Spider-Man, and I guess more power to him. Not my bag. And
totally
then
good.
I skipped like I think some of the middle arcs, and then I read the final arc of Peter Ultimate Spider-Man.
Oh, when he gets shot,
when he gets killed. Yeah. And so I read that. I was like, oh, they killed him. Well, I guess that's the end of that. And no, it wasn't. And then I read the first few issues of Miles, and I was like, this is dumb.
This is dumb. Here for bye.
You just gave him panel for panel Peter's origin. What are we doing here?
But his uncle is evil instead of just being shot. No, it was like I brought. Okay, there are 2 points to this, and one is the one I was actually going to bring up, and one is something I remembered, because earlier I was asking you if you read any of the Ultimate Universe at the time of like 2014, 2013. That was when, and you said no, which is good, because that was this weird era where they, you know, everything had been a mess for such a long time, and they didn't really know what to do, and the universe was sort of only being propped up for Miles, right? Yeah. Which is like why they did Secret Wars, so I understand that from an editorial standpoint. But I kept reading all the way till the Ultimate Universe ended, and I feel like it was one of those half OCD, half like desperate. It can get better, right? Like I can see some of the Ultimate characters I like again. Like they'll get Hickman back on. They'll get Hickman back on this book, won't they? They'll bring the Maker back, and they did for Secret Wars and everything eventually. But those are such bad comics. They had bad writers, bad artists, just everything. The main thing I was bringing up is, okay, so I don't know if you read did you read the Black Cat arc for Ultimate Spider-Man?
I don't think I did, no.
Okay. It plays out, you know, relatively the same. Black Cat meets Spider-Man, flirty, yada, yada, yada. But it's got one of my favorite little subversions. She looks basically, imagine Mark Bagley draws a Black Cat, but gives her like Blue Beetle goggles and like little cat ear headband. That's basically what his Black Cat was. But there's this, at the way their relationship ends is the entire time they're flirting, they're hanging out in costume or whatever, and when Black Cat finally goes to like kiss him, she's like, take off your mask, and he takes it off.
Okay, so I actually did read that issue.
Yeah,
I actually did read that issue, and I completely forgot because as soon I had to look it up, and I saw because Campbell did a piece of her, and it looked really, really fantastic. I'm like, wait a second. I actually do know what he's talking about right now. And I think I know where he's going with this. And you went exactly where I thought you were going with this.
Yeah, it's when she takes off his mask and she's 16 and she's like, oh my God. Like, I thought that was like pretty funny.
Vomit. Yeah.
Yeah, no, she does vomit. She does. She goes, oh.
Yeah.
And then she like runs away and Peter's like, what? I don't get it. Like that. I thought that was always a fun way to handle that in a more modern setting.
Yeah, that was pretty funny. Look up the Campbell piece that he did of Black Cat, of Ultimate Black Cat, because it's a really cool piece of her in front of the moon on a rooftop. It's a great piece in my book.
Oh, I hit like all the wrong tabs. Oh wow. This is him? I didn't realize that was him.
Yep.
They're only giving me like somebody's photo of the cover instead of.
Really?
Oh, that's why, because Google put for sale into my search for some reason, which I did not ask it to do.
Google's dumb sometimes.
It's really dumb. Oh wow, this is a really good. I feel like I knew this piece existed, but I didn't specifically know that it was Campbell. Let's see. Browser. What are we looking at over here in the browser? Oh, Spider-Man. So that's the one I gotta find.
Yeah, it's a great piece.
That's great.
Yeah, that looks fantastic.
You know what's kind of nuts? This is basically the same way he draws Felicia from the 616, but even like the ears and the goggles, they're enough to make it. Like, I look at him like that's not our Felicia. That's that's very impressive that it took just so little for him to do.
Yeah, that's 1610 Felicia is. You know, it works. It works.
And then she never appeared after this, and I thought that was like kind of the proper way to do it.
Yeah. Agreed.
All right. Well, I think that's a lot of spider talk, and I realize you and I could keep going for spider talk for forever if we really wanted to. But I figured, how about we talk about some comics that we actually read this week? Some new stuff that came out.
Let's do it.
Do you want to start off with anything? I know I've been hogging the mic for a little bit. Anything you want to highlight first?
You know what? Where is it?
And I'll bring it up for the good folks here.
Yeah. I gotta bring.
See, guys, it's called production. We have the physical ones right here, and then I bring up the high. Technology. Exactly. We show you we have them, and then we show you the HD one right here on your screen where it's all beautiful.
So I'm gonna steal this one.
Yes. Let's freaking
Venom War Venomous #2.
Just this event, I'm loving this event. I'm loving basically everything we get out of it. This book in particular, everything about this book is rad.
so much about this book just works that's going on. So between Nat and the Sliver symbiote, which if you had asked me, or rather, if you had told me a handful of months ago that Nat with a symbiote works, I would have told you you're out your damn mind.
Yeah.
Marvel was bored and had no idea what to do with her. And to be fair, that probably was what was happening, but then it just actually worked because they put people that could make it work on the book. And
they also, she's also not your standard symbiote, right? She's not web slinging. She's not, eating people. Like her, she lets the spiders out and they can crawl into your brain and extract information.
Super cool. And I like how, like, when Nat transforms to utilize the symbiote, how the artist draws all the little spider, like it would freak the hell out of me. Like I couldn't do that. I would need more of like a standard Venom spider.
Right, like a goo that comes up. But yeah, it like crawls up her all the time. And
it looks so good on the page when they do it. But then pairing her in the Venomous tie-in series for Venom War with Flash Thompson, Agent Anti-Venom, is just their banter, their back and forth, their how they work off of each other because they're both military trained, right? So they know how to work in conjunction in such a way that we don't get to often see out of a team up of other characters.
Well, I was gonna bring up, like, she teams up with Hawkeye, right? Like that's who she always teams up with, and they're similar too. They got military backgrounds, whatever. But the difference between Flash and Hawkeye is all hero. Like, I'm not killing. We got to do this the like superhero way. Flash is like, I'm still a soldier. If we have to, I'm gonna, there's a panel in this book where Nat's, right here, where they're recounting their last fight together when he was still Agent Venom. And I don't have it centered right. But you can sort of see there's this panel over here where he like drops a whole...
A freaking storage container.
Yeah, storage container on a bunch of Hydra people to save her. Like, that's the difference between them.
Like, he gives no Fs. Like, he just like, all right, this is what I got to do to win. I'm doing that, right? And I love her commentary, too, even though I forget if she's saying it just in her own head or if she's talking with Sliver while it's happening, where she's commenting on, like, how Flash is always willing to just leap right in.
Oh, yeah. That's, like, the overarching thoughts he has throughout the issue.
Yeah, where like she like respects him for it and she knows she can rely on it. Like he's just willing to put his body completely in danger to get things done. Right? And it to me, that's really helpful to hear coming from a character like Nat, who is this actually strong female character, right? But they're not taking a character that was already a strong female character and then like trying to dumb down the male characters around her. Like, no, she's elevating Flash there because she's talking about how much she respects him, right? And so it just works because imagine a good writer being able to just like elevate multiple characters at once. It's crazy.
Well, usually you're right, because usually we would see her like, oh, I know how to use the symbiote better than you. The way I approach the symbiote is the better way, and you get out of my way, Flash. Like, that's how a lesser Mariko Tamaki would have written this. But this one, they're equals. Like, they have different strengths. I've always really liked Flash Thompson as Venom with the symbiote. I always thought it was
like Venom stuff.
I thought it was a great turn. I really liked Mania, which is really awesome because we'll probably talk about her in a little bit because she actually shows back up in this event, which I was really happy to see. All of that. Agent Venom is a great story. Secret Avengers, when he was on it, was a great story. Pretty much any time Flash shows up lately, it's a really, really, really good story. Even if it's the main story of whatever he's showing up in is bad, his bit in it is always going to be pretty damn good.
He has a presence that just elevates whatever's going on.
I think the presence is that, like, he's a lot like Peter, where he sort of knows he has to make up for his past, or he's trying to make up for his past, right? Like, I was a bully, and now I'm an army vet that the world has sort of thrown out, which is just, that's another talk about how our country treats our vets. It's awful, but that's not what we're here for. But, like, that's the thing. He's like, I have to be out there. So he's trying, it's that character who's trying to be, he wants to be Spider-Man, but he's not. And I think that that's the dynamic you
He's
see of him.
fundamentally different.
He's fundamentally different, but he's trying so hard to follow at least in his footsteps, right? Like take after Spidey's example. So I always like that dynamic between them.
It's just such a good book. Such a good book.
I'm loving all of the Venomous stuff, because this is this is a mini, but then there was the Black Widow Venomous one shot.
Which is like a pseudo tie-in to this too. It's not listed as a tie-in, but
I didn't know how to classify it.
Well, the events of that book practically lead right into Venomous #1. So
it doesn't have that tag exactly. It's
why didn't you put Venom War on that? Like, just call that Venom War Black Widow, right?
I mean, you've even got the same cover artist, the same regular artist, the same writer is on it. I don't know why you didn't just say Venom War. This could have been Venom War prologue. So Andrew and I were talking about this earlier. This is in our running, at least in my running, and I think you said it was too, for best single issue of the year. This is just
so far, absolutely.
So what this issue is, guys, is it's Nat learning how to use her symbiote, but she it's training her, and she does a mental training thing with her. So you can see her right here running her through the Red Room. Then she the artwork in this book is so good.
Great paneling.
It's so good. But then you've got her training, and then she brings in the memories of her friends. So there's this she fights Bucky, who teaches her how to not be confident. Never overestimate your enemy. Don't trust anyone is what Fury says. I kind of like this little exchange right here. Are you writing this down? Never put anything in writing. I thought that was a funny little bit. This amazing Jessica Drew page. I am in love with this page at any opportunity I can. Whenever Andrew brings up Venom War in his Discord server, I'm like, oh, hey, I like Nat as a symbiote, and I like this page. And I'm sure at this point everybody goes
we've seen it 16 times in the last week.
The Sheen thing, right? Sheen. We've seen Ultra Lord. We know that. Yeah, that's what it is at this point. Then you get the Hawkeye, Coulson, more Nat, and it's so good.
I loved the good character. There was a good character moment for Nat while they were still in the Red Room, where she realizes that she doesn't have to train Sliver in the same brutal manner that she was trained in. She can take what worked from that in terms of just the training itself, but remove the actual kind of torturous brutality of it and be more effective than she was, right? And I liked that. That was a self-reflective moment of wait a second. I don't have to be this person.
I love the way the art here is perfectly they've got almost the same haircut, the same expression, the eyes have that same intensity. And she realizes I can do better, I will do better. And then I like that. Is it done? Have we passed? And you would think in a normal story like this, they would go, yeah, you passed, but we'll get better or whatever. And here Nat's no, not yet. She knows she's not ready, but they're gonna change how they're approaching it. Also, I hate the fact that Falcon and the Winter Soldier ruined that phrase, do better or be better for me. Sometimes it works, right?
Yes, it
sometimes
does,
you gotta
unfortunately, be better, Senator. Will
do better, Senator.
Stick in our minds.
I love it. I love it so much because he offers no solution. It's just do better, Senator.
Yeah. So.
But yeah, if you guys haven't been checking out the Black Widow Venomous stuff, it like Andrew said, it's probably the most interesting she's been in a while because she has something to do. So here's where I'm really sad, Andrew. And maybe we get out of it because she's not technically part of the MCU anymore, but I'm afraid that they're going to retcon this someday. Soon. This is not going to be, I think this should be a good permanent turn for her, but I really feel as soon as Doomsday comes around, oh, look, Nat, she's normal again, and she's on the Avengers roster because synergy, and that kind of really bums me out.
Yeah, I hope that's not what happens, because I'm with you. This is the best that Nat has been in a long time. The last thing that I read of Black Widow that was just genuinely a good time and a good book was No Restraints Play, when she was freaking burning pedophiles alive. Right? And so it's all right, so Nat Nat is no holds barred right now, and she's actually being Nat. Cool. All right, I'm here for this. Like, this is cool. But beyond that, like, Nat is, despite how kind of beloved she was within the MCU, like, there wasn't really anything worthwhile going on with her in the comics.
Well, because it's the same problem we sort of had, or you and I have talked about, with having vampires as your main enemy of Blood Hunt, right?
No.
Is that, and it's worse in the comic books, but in the MCU, really, what help is a frail young woman who can shoot really well. Like, yes, you can put her in espionage situations, and if she is in an espionage situation, you can do stuff with it. There's intrigue there. Winter Soldier, right? She was great in Winter Soldier.
Absolutely.
But the second you try to have her on the front lines of fighting
Frickin'
Thanos,
Infinity War,
right?
Thanos,
aliens or magic. Like, at that point, you go, okay, you want to take your shot? Yeah, we all figured it wasn't going to do anything. Okay, sit back and we're going to go, fight.
Yeah, all right, let's go get Hulk and Thor out there,
So it's really hard for her to have anything to do. And then in recent years, like, SHIELD isn't a thing, so she doesn't really have anywhere to go. To me, this book just represents sort of like a lot of positive things we want to see out of comic books, right? Like, good art, good writing, like unique ways of doing things that aren't just retreads, and also giving characters like something to do. I'm genuinely of the opinion that there are some very, very rarely is there a character that can't be saved by good writing, right?
Correct.
Like, of course,
if you get a good writer on a character, things can get turned around.
But it's rare. It is very rare, as we know. So I'm just the fact that Nat is sort of a contender now, and she's getting this solid series, that she's not even being nerfed, right? Like, they're not saying, oh, you got to play by the rules. They're letting her be, like you were saying, full Nat. She's killing. Yeah. She's ripping like secrets from people's minds. So yeah, like, I'm all about this book, the Venom War proper, except I'm still not a fan of her hair being out. I can't get over the hair being out. Everything else about her suit is really cool.
Yeah, that's
except when she does. I hate this too. With. I hate this. I hate when her eyes are open.
Yeah, I don't like that. I wish that they would instead make those full lenses.
She goes in and out of it. Like, I don't. Yeah. Like, see, like,
yeah. So when the lenses are up like that, that actually looks cool.
It's so cool.
Like, that actually looks freaking wicked. But when her eyes are showing, it's super jarring. It doesn't look like it looks like an incomplete design.
It looks like, you know what, this sort of just hit me. I think they're trying to go for that sort of 1950s James Bond mystery sort of look, right? Where if they would have had a mask, it would have been something stylized with a little logo, but nothing extravagant like we would have gotten now, right? Like compare old school Batman villains to, Mr. Pig or Bloom or whoever we get now. So I think that's what they're going for, especially with like the art and her being a spy. I just don't think it works. Maybe if this was like a variant cover and you weren't really using it, I can see it being a thing. But yeah, I'm right there with you. I don't like it.
Yeah, no, it just doesn't work, and it works even less because we know what those panels could look like if she just had the lenses up. I would have loved to had more panels, right, that have her with the lenses up, because that bottom panel just looks so wicked. And
they
that
just
one
look
too,
so
where she's
cool.
jumping through. Now that what was it, either forward or back again? That right there. So that
This
bottom
one?
panel, the panel 3. If you want to do something like that, when you're doing something that's maybe it's like one of those cut-ins where you're doing like an inner thoughts type of a thing, right?
I was just gonna say that, like they
that's-
used to do
and
for
that's
Peter,
fine.
like when he had the spider sense going.
100%, because then it's also a callback. It makes sense in terms of what's going on the page, and it's also a callback to classic Peter, right? And we
it would be a
inherently
perfect callback.
associate-
I didn't even think about that.
We inherently associate the symbiotes, no matter who has them, with Peter first, right? So, because it's a spider thing at this point.
Technically, it's a Deadpool thing. Okay,
I'm not. Listen,
it's a fun joke. I like that little. We'll talk about it. It's a little fun thing, but yeah.
They put that joke in freaking Venom War Deadpool,
in the
and I was
Deadpool
like,
one.
I see you.
That was my reaction. I knew they weren't being serious, but I was like, I know what you're talking about. I know what you're talking about.
I got it. They got a chortle out of me with that one. But yeah, this book is just so good.
This book
I
is
have nothing bad to say about this book.
I can't wait to see how it closes out. I really hope they give her a series like this. Who is this team? Erica Schultz and Luciano Vecchio. I hope they get an ongoing, because this could easily be one of their best books in a long while. So yeah,
it's a great team.
It is a really good team, and I don't know if I feel like I've seen Vecchio draw some stuff for them before, but I don't think
his
he's had a
style
full book.
looks super familiar. Yeah,
It
but I don't
looks-
think I've read anything else from Erica that comes
No,
to mind.
I can't think of anything new from Erica. She's probably, I bet if we look her up, she's probably written like some Infinity comics or like backup stories. But
Sure.
I'm impressed so far. Like this is good. Foster this kind of talent, and not the next Zeb Wells or the next what's her name Vita Ayala. No, Vita Ayala. That's the one who I see her name on a book and I just go, never just not happening. Cannot put that in my house.
That is a full nope. In all caps.
In every way. All right, so sticking on the topic of Venom War, I think let's talk about, we mentioned it a second ago, Venom War Deadpool. So I know you like this book, and you aren't a particular fan of Deadpool.
I am not.
So what was it that you what was it about this book that you liked about it?
So I think what helped here is that I can tolerate Deadpool when, hey, camera, figure your stuff out. Focus. There we go. What was I saying? So I think I can tolerate Deadpool when there's a bit of a chaser to work with or some balance.
Mm-hmm.
So if there's somebody else that he's working off of, because Deadpool's personality I can only take in doses, and so I need somebody else on the page to balance that out with me. And so like in this issue, he's working off of the freaking symbiote dog, which is hysterical, or the Deadpool. There is a symbiote on that thing, right?
Yeah, that's a symbiote. That's a dog. Yeah, that dog is a full symbiote.
Okay, yeah. So you've got that, and then you've got his. Is it his daughter?
No. Okay, so that's what I was saying. Do you remember Agent Venom, right? Remember
Yes.
Mania? This is Mania. Like Andy.
Okay.
Yeah, she's after Agent Venom, they sort of like abandoned her, and she wasn't really anywhere. Like they didn't write her off. They just sort of forgot she existed. And
Right.
I think, I want to say it was last year, again, like when they introduced Misery during the Cult of Carnage event, they brought her back and they gave her a new symbiote. So that's who this is.
Okay, now I'm tracking. All right, but the interactions between them work, and then just the overarching story that was going on in this issue, I was here for. I was like, okay, so like, what are you gonna do with Deadpool in this thing? It's the same kind of a thing where I would think of Wolverine, even though their healing factors work completely differently. I'm just like, how, what are really the stakes here? Right?
There's that bit right here or is it right here? Right here where the lion like bites off Deadpool's arm.
Yeah.
I thought that was going to be a thing, and like the last scene we were going to get was like Venom Deadpool or Deadpool BI. Like that's where I thought we were going. So I'm actually kind of pleasantly surprised that wasn't where we went. I feel like that would have been super easy. Like it just became this arm, like the symbiote arm. I thought that was the right way to do it. So I'm with you on Deadpool. Here's the thing that I find with Deadpool. We all know his character is like the unhinged, my brain is broken. In the olden days, like when he was under Fabian Nizeka, I never know how to say his last name. Fabian, when he was under his like direction, he was unhinged. He wasn't like LOL so random, but like for example, one of the first meetings between Wolverine and Deadpool is going crazy because he found where his like ex-wife or his ex-girlfriend lives, and he's like, why did you break up with me? We're not done yet. Like he's going nuts, and he just is detached from reality, and Wolverine has to stop him. So over time that slowly molded. I want to say it was around like 2006, 7, 8. Deadpool, around the time of Cable and Deadpool, that book was doing so well that people looked at it, were picking it up, were like, oh, I like Deadpool. And then they gave him to Daniel Way for about 5 years of writing time. And during that time, Daniel Way turned him into, you know, epic meme man who just regurgitated, you know, I like bunnies, chimichangas. And that did untold damage to his character. Like, it is.
And that is the exact point in time where I was just like, I am not down with this character at
and
all.
so
I cannot like reduce my intellect that far so as to be able to enjoy this book. I can't do it.
I used to deny that I was a Deadpool fan to other comic book readers because I didn't want to be associated with any of that.
Yeah.
Like, I would go like, I like Cable and Deadpool. Oh, other stuff? No, I don't even like the character that much. I was there for Cable. And it's like, no, I just don't want people thinking I like this.
Yeah, you're here for a specific version of Deadpool.
Right,
and
exactly.
it's not the current one.
And so modern books, like, it's very hit or miss. It depends on if you're a good writer or a lazy writer. Because the lazy writers all go, oh yeah, I watched, you know, not even Deadpool and Wolverine, but like Deadpool, not even Deadpool 1. I played Ultimate Alliance 1 once. I watched a YouTube video essay on his character once. And so then they write him as, you know, haha, random, make jokes at everything.
And
when
it's
in reality,
like 9 times out of 10 is what we end up getting that.
Right, exactly. So like, I'm right there with you where I'm very cautious about what Deadpool books I will pick up. I tend to really only like Deadpool these days. And this is not, all right, let me just say what I'm going to say. I tend to like Deadpool these days when he's written by in another book, right? Wolverine Red Band, I know we both liked from a couple weeks ago. There was did you read X
World
Force one? Number
yes.
1? Where he shows up to like drop that tank character off like real quick. That was a good use of him.
That was a good use of him. I was gonna say Deadpool and Wolverine.
Oh yeah,
the recent team up
World War
was
III
actually pretty solid.
Like, and that was good too because they played into the fact that like Deadpool, he's a clown and everything, but he's not like I hate you. Like he's desperately, I want love. I want everybody to like me sort of clown. Right. And like, he still has a good heart at the bottom of it. So like that whole bit where, what was it? Like they had to choose one of them to be sacrificed to that program that they were going to like reprogram everybody. So Deadpool said like, take me and not Logan. And then it was like, I know Logan could beat me if it came down to it. Like that was that's the more Deadpool you should have. Not the, I meant to throw a grenade and I threw, you know, a ketchup packet instead. Like that's just not funny. It's very 2000s humor.
Yeah, that's 2000s, like, you know, middle school quality humor, and it's like, I'm not here for that.
Like the do you remember that picture of the like, I had a cookie for you but I ate it? Like it's that kind of humor.
Yeah,
like
that's exactly what it is. It's like, I'm sorry, I'm an adult now.
Yeah. Well, do kids these days even like that sort of humor anymore? I don't know. Thankfully, I don't hang out with enough children on a regular basis to know their opinions on internet culture.
Yeah, no, exactly. There were genuinely good interactions between Wade and Logan in that
World War III,
miniseries.
yeah.
Like there was some really good stuff, like to the point where there was a moment where like Wade was kind of starving and he couldn't fully recover, right? He couldn't fully regenerate quickly because Wolverine cuts like it's actually super dark. It's like really dark. It's like some cannibalism stuff.
The dark. Well, it is cannibalism. Yeah. Not like some. I think the darker part about it, like I feel like we see that a lot. I feel like that's happened in a Deadpool comic or Wolverine comic somewhere down the line. It has to have. But what really sold me on that moment being dark was when, because it's right after Wade, so he's like sort of breaking free of his programming, and so Logan's sort of with him trying to help him recover, and then they realize he's like doesn't have enough energy and so he needs food, and so Logan starts cutting pieces off of him and feeding him. There's a moment where Deadpool like he starts coming back to life and he's like, oh, this is really good. Like what, or like where did you find this? And Logan just says like, keep your eyes ahead. Like don't look back here. Like just keep looking forward. And like that, I was like, oh man, there was something about the way he said that exchange that sold me on how brutal it was.
Yeah, that was a legitimately good exchange, despite how dark it was. It's just really well done. I was surprised. Like I picked up that mini on just a whim. Yeah. Honestly, I was not going into my shop to pick up that book, but I saw it on the shelf, and I forget what the the cover was that I got
It's
for the first issue.
Well, it's Kubert. Didn't you get the standard Kubert one?
Oh, right, yeah, it was Kubert. Yep, that was Kubert. And so I saw that.
That was what piqued my interest in it, because I was like, that's a slick Kubert cover.
And I was like, okay, let's take a look. Let's take a look.
And thankfully, he does all the art for it. Like he did the interiors for it, so no false advertising.
And Kubert's art is fantastic, and so I was super happy with that. There have been some really good, like really good books lately from Marvel in terms of art. Like some
Marvel's art like team is probably their strongest point right now. Like DC's got Dan Mora, who is the GOAT, but I think that's pretty much about all they've got on their roster. Whereas with
it feels like they're underutilizing guys like George Jimenez and some of the other guys that I know that they've had like on call, but it's like, where I'm not seeing your art anywhere.
Well, they've got like Jimenez is a great example of one. Fabuk, the guy who did the Three Jokers, I know he's on the roster. He just did a new Three Jokers epilogue story. Stop putting him on these weird follow-up event. I don't know, put him on a book. People will buy your book.
They used to have him on books regular. Where the hell is it?
That's what I mean.
He did, where was it? He did Darkseid Ward in freaking New 52.
Yeah. That was all him. Yeah, I love his art.
He did the interiors on, and the interiors were out of control. His art is so damn good.
And now you've got, let's see, if I were to name DC artists, obviously we got Mora, Jimenez, whoever does the art in the Tom King Wonder Woman book is really good. I don't know who it is, but I like his art.
Whoever they have for is it Batman and Robin or Batman and Son, whatever the book is that's out right now?
I think and Robin.
Okay, that art's really cool. It's super stylized, so I can. It's definitely not for everybody, but it looks really cool. Like it's clearly it's for me.
Yeah,
I haven't read the book, but every time I see one of the covers, I'm like, oh,
you're like, I gotta crack that open. I want to dig into that.
But at this point, there are like so many issues in. I can't remember what number they're at right now. But I'm like, I basically decided that once I start seeing the trades, I'll just like at least pick up the first trade and be like, all right, let's see what this is about, because like the art is just too good for me to just kind of like pass up completely. But I'm not gonna like try and dive in the middle of the run.
And remember, guys, he's not talking about the Tom King Wonder Woman book. I had like that I had that like. And then I was like, oh no, wait, I know what we're talking about.
Yeah, definitely not talking about Tom King. There will never again be a Tom King book that enters my home. In fact, I got rid of my my copies of Heroes in Crisis.
Good. As you
because
should.
after that travesty bit of sacrilege and blasphemy finished, I was like, okay, well, we're getting rid of this.
I'm still sad that they brought it back in Absolute Power, because I thought they had basically ignored it. It ended and they never touched it again.
I can't think of a single instance where they had even mentioned Sanctuary after like only a handful of months after that had ended. Like there would still be a book or two where it would get name dropped, and that'd be it.
But often it wouldn't even be like naming Sanctuary. It would be that thing where it's like, I haven't seen you since that business with Wally. And it was like, okay, cool. So it could have been anything.
Right. And that felt deliberate and like, okay, we are trying to forget that happened because of the backlash, right? Smart. But now it's like, why are we naming that which shall not be named? Why are we doing this? Like, y'all, are we forgetting that y'all had to like retcon that event like 3 times?
Like 3 different times. Like I turned that page.
They retconned it more and more each time.
So for those who don't know, the Sanctuary mask, it's playing into Absolute Power right now. It's Amanda Waller stole it because she wanted all the hero secrets, which stupid. I hate that event. Probably we'll talk about Absolute Power when it concludes, I think like next week or the week after. But yeah, the entire it's in an issue of Green Arrow, and the entire issue is normal and it's building up, and then you get to like that second to last page and Waller's like, all right, I have your first mission for you, Green Arrow, who's pretending to be a traitor to the Justice League. And you turn the page and it just says steal Sanctuary, and it's the giant mask. And I felt everything like leave my body. I was like, oh, what could it be?
It's
Just I can't do it.
All the things.
And guess what? They don't even really do anything with it so far. Like, she has it. She hasn't mentioned like, oh, I used it to do this, or I'm doing this. It's just like, I have it. So it's like, why? Just ignore it. We don't need it to be mentioned ever again. Just stop it. Stop it.
Yep.
So yeah, Deadpool, Venom War, fun. Not a bad time. The main thing I wanted to mention is I cannot believe this guy is in this book. I can't believe Marvel remembers him. They forget him all the time. This is freaking...
Fans forgot about him. Shoot,
Who did?
I forgot about him.
Yeah, exactly. Again, I feel like I'm the only person who remembers him, and that's because a couple months ago when Krakoa ended, the final fight was
Phoenix
Dominion.
was all the X-Men.
Yes, he was all the X-Men souls, and he was there like front and center, and I went, holy crap, that's Jimmy! Because I was doing the thing where I'm like, let me look. Like, I know all these X-Men. Oh, cool. There's Magic. There's Colossus. Who's that? Why are there like 4 Wolverine? Oh my God, it's Jimmy! People remember Jimmy exists, and now here he is again, coming out of nowhere in this random Venom War tie-in book. Still, do you remember this too? Do you remember the poison like symbiote things they were trying to do for a little while?
Very vaguely.
Yeah.
But when I read it, I was like, oh, wow, okay, we're doing this again.
Right? That like, I don't know what they're gonna do here. I was just more stunned that they remember. Anytime anybody remembers Jimmy, I'm just like, oh my gosh, like, I don't even like him. You're
like, I'm not alone.
Yeah, it's like, oh my gosh, look, somebody at Marvel remembers that they have this plot thread that they never, ever resolve. So
Spencer just realized he's not on an island alone. There's at least one other person.
There's at least one other person who cares about the most middest of Marvel characters.
Right.
But yeah, interesting to see him back. I wonder how the because like that poison symbiote stuff interacts with symbiotes differently. Like that was the whole point. Like they can kill symbiotes. So now we've got that along with the anti-venom going in. So
I really like the anti-venom angle that they're
I
going
do too.
with. Frickin' Flash just literally punching
like
the zombiotes off of people, and some. It's funny because sometimes like, oh, this one was already dead.
Yeah, I love that where he's just like, oh, punch. Oh, you were already dead. Well, now I got to get you. Okay, this one's alive. We can save him.
Got a live one over here, and I think that's even a line he actually says. But I like the Liz Allen stuff at the end of that issue. Obviously, we already passed that issue, but like where she's like, because she has the anti-venom stuff in her as well.
Yeah.
And so she can extract it, but she does it gently, which is funny. And kind of, it's a funny visual dichotomy and contrast because she looks in her symbiote form looks way scarier than Flash.
Oh yeah, totally way scary.
Like I saw her, and because I have to, yeah, that's freaking terrifying.
She's part Carnage.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. That's why.
Instead of part Venom.
Yeah, and so because I need to go back and catch up on a lot of Venom stuff, like basically everything that happened after Cates ended his run, I need to go back and catch up on that. I didn't know that she had this symbiote, and so this was my introduction to her.
Oh,
like, what the hell is this?
Like, what is Liz doing?
Right, I kind of freaked out when I first read. It was the issue prior to this one where it shows it off initially. I was like, what the hell is going on right now? That's horrifying. Is she like is she a villain, like a full-on crazy villain right now? Because that's some Carnage stuff right there I'm seeing. And so like it's ironic that there's that contrast between how she looks and actually how she
I didn't even think about that. You're right. And then Flash is like, he's white, he looks like a hero, he looks like he's there to save you, but boom, he's gonna like punch it off of you.
Or drop in freaking giant storage containers on you.
Just whatever he needs to do to get the job done. On the Mercy or Misery note.
Misery, yeah.
Yeah, the I know we talked about earlier, I don't like exposed hair. Misery's, like, I didn't like it when Misery first showed it off, but it's sort of grown on me because they sort of changed it. It wasn't always like tendrils. It was sort of hair in the beginning, but now she uses it as like
a
kind
weapon.
of like Scream. and I really like that. So the design is definitely growing on me a lot more. And
I'm super about that design.
And I also like that she is one of those characters where she has it, but it's not her world. Like, she's not going out and being a superhero. She doesn't care about invasions or whatever. It's just sort of like, oh, I'm still Alchemax CEO. If something happens at my office, this is my like personal defense system, like sort of like an Iron Man suit. So
yeah,
I'm all about it. And I also just like when spider suits have the extra arms, like no matter how you.
It always looks cool when they do that.
It's always great.
That was one of the best choices that they made when with the first Superior Spider-Man run, right?
Mm-hmm.
When he
giving him the arms back. Yep.
I was like, oh, that's such a good and it made all the sense in the world too, right? Because it was actually Doc Ock.
Yeah, it's actually Doc Ock.
And they did that, and I was like, oh man, that's such a good idea. That just works so well.
The Superior suit to this day it's an amazing costume. Like
it's a superior costume.
It is a superior costume.
It is one of the best Spider-Man suits.
Except for the first one with like the ninja toes and everything. I was not a fan of that one.
No, I'm with you. That one was not the business.
All right. Let's see. What else do we want to talk about this week? I guess I will throw out this because it's probably one of the other few books we both read. X-Men. Did you read your X-Men this week? Did you not? Did you crack open your Emma?
I did read Jed Mid-K. This book is just like, it's not a bad book. It's just not a particularly good book. It's just a book that it exists so far.
Okay, so we've talked about this before. Like, Krakoa, one of the dumb things coming out of Krakoa is that they're back to like all mutants are oppressed. We're on the run again, right? Which you and I, having read comics for 30 years plus at this point, like, we've seen it. We've done it. That's the plot of every book, of every movie, of every show, of every video game is people don't like mutants. So
how many times do these characters have to save the world or the city, before we're past this?
And honestly, the more they explore it, the weaker the narrative sort of becomes, because they introduce, mutants who just by existing, everyone around them melts. So it's like, maybe there's something we got to talk about there. And then it also doesn't make sense for all the like super strong mutant prejudice, because like there are billions of other heroes out there who got their powers in not a mutation, but something random happened to them. It could happen to any of us. Well, any of you could have been bitten by a spider. Any of you could have been selected for the super soldier serum. Who knows? So the narrative
got literal aliens
falls apart.
and gods here, right?
Yes.
Like, why are we pretending like mutants are this weird thing?
Like, I've never
worth freaking out about.
That was probably the one advantage, or maybe not even advantage, but like thing that made sense when they were doing the Inhumans push was when the Inhumans get exposed, they turn into like weird things. Like Black Bolt and Medusa are relatively normal looking, but like everybody else has fins or like half their face is weird. So that when they tried that angle with the Inhumans, it works. But with the X-Men, it doesn't, it's not as prevalent, right? Like Beast is a mutant, and he looks weird, but it's not like all of them are Beast. And also Beast at this point has been like a public figure. He's been an Avenger. I don't know what you guys, like, who's still afraid of him?
Yeah,
like,
and to that point, Wolverine's been an Avenger. Like, a lot of these characters have teamed up with Avengers or with other superheroes to save cities and save the planet. It's like the problem with and there are some really good X books right now.
There are.
Like, Uncanny is actually uncannily good so far. I'm genuinely shocked with how good
Uncanny
that book
is really good. Gotta give it that shout out to Gail.
Credit where credit's due. She actually decided to put a writing hat on with that one. And decide to write a good comic, at least for 2 issues in a row. We'll see if she keeps it up. I hope she does, because so far I'm here for it.
So far, so good.
And some of the best and most fun character interactions I've seen in an X book in a while. But the overarching issue with this post-Krakoan era of the X-Men, and it's just mutants at large, is this like thing that this idea that they're trying to sell us on, this premise of, we're back to like all this anti-mutant blah blah blah, and like in some of the books, like in Dazzler, they go really hard in the paint with some of the lines, and it's super on the nose, super ham-fisted, and it's like, come on.
Well, that's the most ham-fisted one to me so far of I guess we can call this From the Ashes, because that's technically what it is, post-Krakoa, whatever, is in the very first issue of this book of X-Men, when the Alaskan, like, police officer, like, goes to visit the X-Men base, and she, like, knocks on the door, and Beast opens it. And she goes, like, and Beast has this thing about, like, oh, don't be so, like, of course you were going to be afraid by my appearance. I get that all the time. Like, that to me was just like, again, this is Beast of all people, of all the mutants. Like, you have Glob Herman in the base there hanging out, who was just a sack of bones. You could have gotten that message across with him, have him open the door, have her be like, oh, and then somebody goes like, oh, sorry, he works here or whatever. You don't use Beast for the vehicle. Like, it really stretches your credibility that all of these people are hunted and oppressed, and I don't know. It's just, it's running thin.
It's already running thin, and we're only a handful of issues, not even a full handful of issues into this new era, this From the Ashes era, you know. And it's just like, guys, like, you really need to have a stronger premise. And I say that while again also saying there are some genuinely good X books so far. Uncanny is fantastic. Some of the solo books have been pretty good so far. Like, I'm not in love with, but I'm at least curious to see where it's going with the Phoenix.
Me too. That's exactly what I was about to bring up.
I'm like, it's nothing amazing right now, but I'm curious
to
see where they're going with it.
I thought the first issue actually was pretty amazing with her.
The first
sort
issue
of
was
like,
really strong.
Right, like going out and being cosmic and sort of how is Jean embracing that. Mm-hmm. Then when they grounded it a little more by giving her like a superhero adventure with Corsair, that's where I was like, I don't really know about this. This is kind of boring. This is
that wasn't what I signed up for.
Right. Exactly. I want cosmic Phoenix being cosmic. So
right, like if you're trying to sell me on Jean finally embracing the Phoenix Force again, right? Instead of fearing it, instead of wanting nothing to do with it, if she is truly well and good embracing this aspect, then okay, that means you need to shift up the status quo. She's not just your average superhero anymore. She has a freaking cosmic entity as part of her, and she has accepted that. She's not trying to push it down. You have to tell different stories with her now, because you can't tell the same stories with her anymore, because that's going to be too hard. Not just too hard of a sell, that's not a good enough way of putting it. It's not a believable sell.
It's not a believable sell. It's also just, it's a sell where you're not really getting anything, right? Yeah. Like try to sell somebody like a box of air. That's sort of almost what you're getting here. It's like, you know, you want this, all the stuff is in here, and it's like, but there's not really anything in there. There's no substance to it. Like, yes, it's air, but I don't get anything really out of it. You get $40. I can breathe air out here. I can go find an X-Men teaming up story in all of the other books right now. X-Factor, Uncanny, this one. It's Phoenix should have been something different, and I hope it writes itself, and this is just sort of like a setup. But yeah, the second issue was really disappointing.
Yeah, I'm right with you there.
So with this book, I'm right there with you. It's super boring. There's not really a lot going on. I will admit I was really, really surprised to see the villain group in this book. The where's that group shot of them? They're right here. So except for the green guy, all those three were from the Mike Allred Ecstatic series that he was doing like in the late or like throughout the 2000s, where it focused on like mutants with weird mutations like Sweat Boy or whatever, right? Like, so I like when writers, like we were talking about, you can take a goofy premise and make it work, and you know they're not downplaying it or whatever. Like that guy is named the fuzzy guy is named what's his name? It's Ocelot. That's what it is. Yeah. And yeah, he looks kind of stupid, but they treat him seriously. Like they don't. I don't know. It works. Like I was really happy to see them come back. I like when books can feel living and alive rather than just like, oh, this book, this story and these characters only exist in this publishing era right now. Yeah. You know what I mean? Which is what I think a lot of this current X book is doing. But yeah, overall, a pretty mid book. Nothing to really.
It's 4 issues so far of just kind of mid.
Just really, really, really mid. Nothing I'm really seeing that has blown me away. And you know what's crazy? I liked in that first issue that setup of that new villain group, the like 4th school or whatever, where it was like, we need to stop ignoring mutants and embrace it, and that's how humans will go to the next level. I'm like, that's interesting. You guys haven't done that before. Now they're gone. Like, they haven't really touched upon that
done
since
anything with
issue
them
1.
since.
Yeah. And then like even this reveal, like, okay, Sugar Man's cool, I guess. I don't know. It just doesn't really feel like there's a lot of stakes going on in this book. Oh, I am intrigued by whatever this is. Whatever this weird chess thing Magic and Colossus are doing, because we don't know where he is right now. So in the last we saw him, he was like mind controlled by his brother to act as a sleeper agent on the Quiet Council. So there's intrigue here. It could be cool, but that's really all I've got so far. The rest of this is standard. It's just Cyclops being ex-leader again, and not even. There have been times when like when Scott steps up to that leader role, like in the aftermath of the Inhuman stuff, when mutants were like all their powers were going weird and stuff, and it was really a scary time for them. He was leading with like, okay, I'm the leader, but I'm also sort of a mutant supremacist at this point, and I'm not going to take anything from it. Same thing sort of with Krakoa. He went, I'm going to be the leader now, but I'm going to lead from a position of I'm confident, and we don't have to bow to anybody anymore. This is just sort of like, I'm a team leader. There's no angle to him. There's nothing going on with Cyclops outside of the basic character. Like, Cyclops is the leader of the X-Men. He helps other mutants. He lives at the Charles Xavier School.
I'll give them one thing. So in issue 3 of this series, he had a really good moment, and it was him basically putting it on the table when he was having that exchange with that agent.
Oh, with the agent. Yeah.
And he flat out tells him, you don't want to actually mess with me. Like, which version of me do you want to deal with right now?
And
I was like,
that's the kind of Cyclops, that's who Cyclops should be nowadays. Like, he should be, this to me is too much of a youthful, optimistic Cyclops, right? And we're past that. If this was that era, sure, I could maybe see it. But Scott's seen too much shit. You don't walk away from things like the Mutant Registration Act and House of M and the Inhuman stuff and just go, I'm fine.
Yeah, no, it doesn't work that way.
I'm glad. So in this issue, the thing I will give is that Scott actually looks like an adult now. Like, when Stegman's drawing him in this outfit, he tends to look like a teenager.
I noticed that, like, on that Stegman cover for issue 1, I initially thought that they were rebooting the X-Men to be kids or like teenagers.
Oh, because doing the 05 thing all over again?
Yeah, because I was like, what the heck? Why does he look so young? Right?
Yeah.
It was super strange to me. And it's odd because I actually like Stegman's art. Like,
I do too. He's one of my favorites.
I loved him on Kate's Venom run.
Yeah. And
anytime on that run.
Even that he did the whatchamacallit, like that promo image for like From the Ashes, the one where it's got like the 3 teams in the danger room and they're all like rushing forward. I really liked that cover. But yeah, Stegman's art, I've got it right here. So this is what normally like this to me is like Cyclops, sure. And then you get to Stegman and there's just something about the way he draws him where Scott looks like he's a kid. Like, maybe it's like the messy hair, maybe it's the softer face, but it really, really bugs me. Like, I'm not a big fan of this costume.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. Yeah, exactly. Zero. No, I mean, that's kind of where a lot of people are, right? The problem is that I can't look at an X book right now without thinking of all the damage done in the Krakoa era. And, like, that's one of the things, is they have to deal with all of that. I just don't know how they're going to deal with it, right? Like, all of this, what they're doing now, is just sort of ignoring it. Like, okay, the X-Men are going out and making a team, right? But are we going to talk about all the Krakoa stuff, like, at all? What about all the mutants who are still on Mars? What about the fact that you guys just fought a Dominion? Like, things happened. We can't just ignore it anymore. So that's on the current writers. Some of them might have, honestly, Gail Simone might be the best one to handle it. If the Phoenix book can write itself, I think that'll be a good place where it'll handle post-Krakoa stuff. But yeah, I actually don't blame anybody for being put off by Krakoa. Right, yeah, exactly. I don't. They're even going to deal with that. They either take pride in it or they'll pretend it never happened. They're in a weird spot. Like, that's the thing, though, is different editors come in, different writers, and they go, oh, we got to angle away from this, angle away from that. And that's what I'm talking about. Like, I don't like when they just outright ignore it. You've got to, things happen. People died. Like, let's talk about this. Surprisingly, Andrew, actually, this is a really good segue. The only book that actually I feel has talked about the actual Krakoa era stuff was Dazzler. Like,
all right, we're moving into this.
Yeah, so, and I'm just going to bring it, I'll just point it out real quick before we talk about it in full. But there's this moment where does she say it? She thinks it to herself. Oh yeah, right here at the very bottom, right? I got killed the day I became an X-Men at the last Hellfire Gala. Our paradise was destroyed by orgies. She's the only person, I think, I'd have to go and do, maybe Forge and them on the X-Force team, but I think that's like the only time we've really heard it being talked about. So yeah, let's talk about Dazzler. I know, what's his name? Clone Geek had a comment. Marvel's X-Men solo titles are all going to get canceled super quick besides Wolverine. Yeah, Wolverine, that's only going to live because it's Wolverine. I picked up that first issue. It's really boring. It's nothing. It's kind of like X-Men. So yeah, that'll live on name alone. But
the minis that have Wolverine in them have been better.
Yeah, oh yeah, 100%. But yeah, so this is, we got another solo book. We got Dazzler.
That's a pretty cover.
It's a very pretty cover. Obviously, you guys saw the Kara Andrews foil variant is our thumbnail. It is a gorgeous variant. Andrew has his right there. It's spot foiled. I did not know it was going to be spot foil, so I'm super excited. Mine is still, it's with Things from Another World, so it'll come in the next shipment. But so great cover, great variants all around. Sort of a super weak issue. The basic premise is they're really leaning into Dazzler being a pop star, so
which works.
Which works, right? Like, I really like that.
That's the one thing about this book that does work aside from the art.
Yeah, no, I agree with you right there.
The art is strong.
A lot of people, understandably, are going to be like, oh, look, they're drawing comparisons to Taylor Swift here for Dazzler, and I'm like, yeah, A, I like Taylor Swift, so I'm not upset about it, but B, that always kind of seemed like the role. Like, that makes sense. I thought she should have been Dazzler in Deadpool. Like, I thought that would have been a perfect cameo for her to do. But yeah, so you basically, the plot of this book is, so here's the problem. It's what Andrew said. A lot of this book is focused on, so Dazzler's going to have a show. She's going on tour, but they got to make sure to have good PR for mutants because mutants are oppressed and everybody's looking to, blah, 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 blah. That's super weak. Like, you and I, we've already bored everybody enough with our criticisms of it, but that narrative bent is super weak. And when you make that, I think when you make that the entire narrative of the book, or at
it's
least
like
this
the
issue,
through line, like,
yeah, that's what I mean.
Heavy,
that's the through line of
through
it.
line through the whole freaking issue.
Everything is, every other comment by somebody is mutants are oppressed or don't do that. It's just sort of like, we've been here, right? Like, one of the subplots is Shark Girl is a drummer in Dazzler's band, and they make her wear an image inducer to make her look human on the stage, and then it breaks, and then they have this whole, mutants are us, like, we're out and proud mutants, blah 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 blah. Like, we've seen this. This is not new. It's kind of boring.
God Loves, Man Kills was like forever ago. Like,
yes, and that is
what do we?
the panel of him going like, "You think God loves like that or whatever?"
Yeah.
Like to Nightcrawler, like it's right there.
Yeah, put some respect on my boy Kurt's name.
Where
it looks like we're getting him in the next issue.
I know, in the next Uncanny, finally. I'm very surprised that Gale's doing the like shonen team build thing here, right? I honestly expected all of them to be together after issue 1, but it started with, it was only Rogue and Gambit, and then they go and get Wolverine in issue 1. Jubilee shows up in issue 3. Kurt's coming in issue 4, so I'm pretty interested in that dynamic out of that book. But yeah, so
she's doing a good job with that so far.
Again, credit where credit's due. But yeah, so for Dazzler, the entire through line is just all the mutants are oppressed sort of thing. Yeah, like, I think it's a super boring premise for a book. It's things we've seen all over forever and ever. And the problem is they don't end with a tease of anything, right?
Yeah.
Like, this is the final shot, is her performing and doing a concert. Again, great music or great art. I really like the
There's
obvious...
good paneling.
Yeah, good paneling. I like, her costume here, it's clearly a take on a Taylor Swift one. I know it. I've seen it. But yeah, they don't do anything. They just end the song, and that's sort of it. Like, she fights Scorpina, which I like seeing her. I know, like, yes, she's just female Scorpion, but I like her design. Like,
it works.
I like. She's not the greatest invention ever, and I'm not going to go and pretend like she's not a cheap gender swap. But I like her design. She works for me.
And
I think it's the gauntlets make her look very anime, right? And
yeah,
I think that altogether sells it.
It makes me think like a slightly tweaked version of it could be on like My Hero Academia or something.
Yeah. That's perfect. I can see that.
But the way that, to what you were saying before, the way that they end the book with like not teasing literally anything, where it's just like, okay, so now she defeated Scorpina, and then now she's finishing out her song, her set. Like, so you guys didn't, at least for this first issue, you didn't think beyond mutants are oppressed, these people hate mutants, blah, 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 blah. We're outside picketing against mutants and things like that. I don't want my kids to be around mutants and all of this. It's like, so is that all you had narratively in you for this? Like,
I think it is. Like,
and I have a feeling it is. Like, I don't know how many issues this is supposed to be, if it's just supposed to be a mini or what, but like, just based on this first issue, and I seldom drop a book after an issue 1, I usually try to give them a little bit of grace, right? Because sometimes it takes a little bit to get your footing. Sometimes you settle into a groove after a second issue. And I've read series like that where it's like, the first issue really didn't do it for me. But then, like, by issue 2, like, it goes up a little bit or a lot of it, right? And I'm like, all right, so now I'm here for it. But this issue, man, was just like, dang it, the interiors were really solid. The paneling was good. The covers were beautiful. This foil cover is absolutely gorgeous.
It's so gorgeous.
And honestly, that main cover could have made for a gorgeous spot foil cover. Imagine that, where you just do her dress, you do her Dazzler energy, and you don't and you do the logo, and you don't. I mean,
you and I had that thought because before we settled on the Kara Andrews one that you have, that was the test we were using. We were using this cover as our test all week for the thumbnail for the show. So it's clearly, like, we're a fan of it.
Yeah, and I think that would have looked fantastic, but just the story was just so. It might be a matter of, like, I might have to wait for somebody else to, like, read it via other means.
Yeah.
And let me know it's improved. Wink, wink, hint, hint. To a degree where I'd be then willing to be like, all right, so, like,
maybe pick up the trade or something. Oh, pick it back up.
Yeah.
Because to me, what this feels like, it feels like a one-shot story they would have thrown in, like, an anthology book, like one of the, and it's only because they're the ones I can think of off the top of my head. I'm not criticizing them per se, but like the Marvel Voices ones, like the Pride book or the, like, African American books, where it's just like an anthology of quick, like, stories that don't have bearing on anything, but they show off the character. That's what this sort of feels like. So. I'll admit I'm not a big fan of this issue. I will probably at least check out the next issue because there's a lot I like I personally like in the base premise. I really like a lot of her supporting cast. I've always liked Strong Guy. Love Multiple Man. Love seeing Wind Dancer back. I feel like everybody forgot she even existed. Liked seeing Scorpina, so that was a big plus for me. And then I like the pop star angle and all the outfits and the art. So I'll probably read one more issue, but I don't know what to expect with the next one. Is it just going to be her going to a show, surviving an incident, and then another show? You know what, Andrew? This could have been one of the few books that benefited from an ending QR code. To tease us on literally anything that's happening next. Also, really, really weird thing. I don't know if you noticed this, but this is an issue 1 of the X-Men relaunch, and it doesn't have that. And Gail Simone and Tom Brevoort came out and were like, "Oh, all the number 1s. We're hiding everything behind QR codes." So maybe they just dropped it, and that page that is a thing that exists.
Maybe that's a page that'll end up in the trade or something.
I'm speculating that they got so much backlash that they went, okay, we're not going to do that. Understandable. But then they had it already ready to go, right? Like, well, what are we going to do with this page? Just take it out of the book.
Right,
and
because
we'll throw it
the
in
books
tray.
at that point were already printed.
Right.
They
so,
just hadn't shipped them yet.
So that's what I'm kind of thinking, is that they might have had to reprint it, and it exists out there somewhere, and we'll just have to wait to see it someday. But yeah, this is probably the biggest disappointment of the week. Could have just been a solid, fun adventure with great art, but ended up just being the most middle of the road thing they possibly could have done.
Yeah.
All right, we are getting close probably to closing out. Is there any? I have one book or one moment I want to highlight. Is there anything and it's not one you've read, so I'll talk to you about it. But is there any other books you want to highlight before we get out of here this week?
In terms of what I picked up at my LCS, honestly, I already talked about Venom War, Venomous #2. I am interested in where they're going with the Lethal Protectors one. Like, it was good. It wasn't amazing, but I'm happy to see like all of these other symbiotes back that I haven't seen in so long. And I'm like, okay, like,
and I actually like that.
Have fun with it.
I like that concept of them being like a reverse Suicide Squad, where like they have to like unlock the ability for the symbiotes to take over their host. I thought that was really cool. And again, just like I was talking about with Scorpina, we got female Tarantula, who stupid character, but I don't know, she's hot, so I like seeing her around whenever she pops up. And she's
like good enough reason, right?
That literally, like, I'm a simple man.
Hey,
but yeah,
I understand it.
So pretty. I don't know who Strikelin or Lightbright or Lynn is. Lynn is clearly a new character, so maybe I don't have that attachment to them. I like seeing Puma and Tarantula with their symbiotes on, but I'm kind of with you. Interesting premise so far. I really like the reverse Suicide Squad angle, and we'll see what happens with Silver Sable having a symbiote.
That's a cool freaking design to me, man.
I actually thought,
I know you don't like the hair, but it looks like they're utilizing it kind of like if you look at the tip there at the bottom, it looks like they're utilizing it to where she can use it as a weapon. I don't like when hair is out. I make an exception sometimes for a living costume type of thing if the hair isn't hair. Like I was saying with Misery, right? Where it's like tendrils. Sure. This I can see potentially working. We'll have to see how they work it in like what if she just uses it like a big like tail spike, right? Like just whoosh, gore you through. Like what's her name in Guilty Gear?
Yes. Frick. Dizzy.
No, it's not Dizzy. Is it Mila? Oh, who the hell is it?
Who is it?
Oh, I'm looking this up right now.
No, yeah, absolutely look that
up. Because I like that type of thing when like hair is used as a weapon. Like obviously Medusa,
right.
With the Inhumans, that kind of thing is cool. Make it practical. So I can totally understand where you're coming from on there. Where in the actual?
I also do like that. Like Tarantula, she got Lasher, and Lasher's doing the spider arm thing we were talking about. Again, very simple design thing, but it almost always works. Almost always works.
Why am I not?
I'm also super intrigued by apparently Phage
Milia.
is like on. What? Oh, Milia. Oh, Milia. Yeah. No, I was totally not Dizzy at all. I was completely off base. I'm pretty interested in Phage here because it looks like Strickland's got like fire powers, but technically only Carnage has gotten over that weakness. Like all of the rest of them are still weak to it. So I wonder. I kind of want to see what they're doing with that. Like probably maybe it's something with the control bracelet, yada yada. But I'm intrigued by this. Wasn't as strong as probably the first Venomous was. Like that's just a top tier series altogether. But I'm here for it. I kind of want to see what they do more. This is what I kind of think you were thinking about, right? Like a first issue that was all right. I'll see what they have to do with the second one. I'll pick it up still, but maybe like it'll probably pick up there. But this was kind of a slower first issue.
Yeah.
Cool
ideas. Nothing particularly spectacular happening yet.
This is basically like the when you start up a new video game and you play like a 5-minute thing and then it plays a cutscene and then the logo, like the title screen comes up. This is sort of like that. Like this is that 5-minute intro. you get to
That's a
play
good
as Silver
comparison.
Sable, and then all of a sudden you end that bit with her taking over, and then poof, Venom War. And then
That is a good
transition.
comparison. I like that quite a lot, actually. And I did like. So this was actually also, this was where, was it in this or was it in the first issue of Venomous, where that's where we get our first look at Misery, but she doesn't have it's not fully on to where like we see her face yet, and then it's in Venomous issue 2 where then the face was revealed, and that's when I freaked out because I was like reading this issue and I'm like, oh, she's got a symbiote, and then
it's
I'm
right there, yeah. With
And
her
then
face open.
yeah, and I'm like, oh, what the hell? And then I read Venomous number 2, and I'm like, what the actual hell, right? Because she just looks absolutely horrifying,
Like,
in like all the
terrifying.
best ways. Yeah, that's a better word for it, like terrifying, because terrifying rather than like horrifying, like horrible or whatever. Like
Right, yeah.
terrifying, I think is the better adjective there. And I was really stoked when I read that because I knew, based on how the first Venomous issue had been a couple weeks ago, that we were likely going to see that moment picked up on in issue 2. So I was like super jazzed to jump into that issue after I finished this one.
And you're like, look, there's continuity. Things are happening.
Things are
Not-
aligning.
Right. Not everybody is just like sort of hanging out on their own. Oh, dang, Max getting his symbiote back? I didn't see this this cover preview.
Oh, I
That's
didn't
awesome.
even look at that.
Yeah. I'm excited. Okay, first of
Is
all,
that
Silver
Ramos?
Sable looks great. Here's the problem. You can't see his face, or you can't see their faces, so you don't.
Right.
That's like the
You,
easy.
you can't see the
identifier.
traditional like Ramos style jaws and
Yeah.
cheekbones.
And
Yeah, I
then
know
the
exactly
other
what you're
thing
talking
is here the freaking I don't know who that might be his signature, but whoa, what the hell? Oh, I went to the other side of the page, but it's covered by the end of the webbing thing. Spectacular Spider-Man.
No, that's not his sig. His sig is actually super basic.
It's just like an H,
It's-
right? Like with an exclamation point or something?
No, it's just his name written, not even cursive.
Oh, that's right. No, I see it now.
Yeah, he's got a super basic sig. So I have no idea who did that, but that art looks.
I like
really
this.
great.
I love what I think. Yeah, that like symbiote scorpion type thing is always really cool to me.
Oh, it's a good combo. It's
Yeah.
absolutely a good combo.
And I do like that it throughout the comics he keeps like getting it back and always trying to be like, I have it now again, Spidey, and Spidey always just like wallops
For
and is
like
like
5 minutes.
yeah, and then it's like, okay, I'll see you next year when you get it again for Christmas.
Right. That's totally a thing Peter would say on it as well. Right.
If he was being properly written.
Yes, that is fair. That is true.
All right, so Lethal Protectors, another good entry into the Venom War series, guys. It's a freaking great mini. We'll probably gush about it proper once number 3 drops, and we can get like really good Ebon art and all that stuff to talk about. Ebon! That's another graphic I gotta make.
Yeah, it is.
All right. So before we close out, this is just one thing I want to talk about because I thought. So long story short, this is the new Avengers series. It's being written by Jed McKay. This is issue 18. Jed Mid-K, like again, most serviceable writer of all time. So last issue was actually pretty intriguing, and I only read last issue because it was a fallout from Blood Hunt, and I was like, are they gonna do anything with it? No, they didn't do anything with it. It's fine. But that issue ended with Hyperion here sending a call to the Avengers, and he basically goes, I remember the world how it was during the Heroes Reborn event, when the world was remade and the Squadron Supreme were your only heroes and people loved us. Now I'm back in this reality. Nobody knows I exist. I don't matter anymore. Like, nobody's even heard of me. So he's sort of having this crisis, and he goes, I don't know what else to do, so this is what I'm going to do. I am like 6 light years away right now. By the time you get this message, I will be like an hour away from full speed impacting into the Earth. And when I do, because I'm going at such a long trajectory, you're gone. Like, it's going to explode everything. So that was the setup, and I was like,
I'm about to nuke y'all from orbit, literally.
right, exactly. And I'm like, how do the Avengers stop Superman from doing whatever he wants to do?
Yeah, he's Superman.
And I thought that was super interesting. And I was like, all right, like I like Hyperion as a character. I thought that was an interesting problem we haven't really seen before in like comic books. What are you gonna do, Jed? So yeah, like it starts out with Hyperion rocketing towards the world.
Who's doing the interiors on
this is Valero Shitty. Shitty, I don't know how to say her name. She's pretty good.
I was gonna say because she's anything but that.
Yeah, I know.
This is really good. I saw that image, that panel right there, that splash of Hyperion.
Yeah.
And then there was a panel with a large, long one. Right there with Aurora.
Of Storm.
That's a great looking Storm.
Yeah, I really, really like her art. I'm glad they finally put a good artist back on the main book. Except I think she's being, like, I think there's an inker problem over at Marvel. Because I feel like there's parts of her art here that look so weird, and it normally doesn't happen like that. Like, look at Sam. Like, what's happening with Sam right here? Right? Like, you compare that Sam to what we're looking at up here with Aurora, and it's just somebody's underserving somebody over there.
That does look like an inker problem.
Right? Yeah, it's really unfortunate, and I don't know who to call, but they so basically the Avengers team up with the Norse god, or the Asgardians, the X-Men, and the Doctor Strange and Clea to sort of locate where Hyperion is, intercept him, and it all ends really stupidly. So he's rocketing towards Earth, and they just go, oh, open this portal to another dimension. And they shoot Hyperion into this other dimension, which I guess they had visited before, and it's a dimension where everything went wrong and there are no heroes, and it's like an apocalypse world. So they basically go...
So now he's the only hero in a universe without heroes.
Yeah, so like they give him this, this is a world with no... Whoa, I zoomed in really far there. Like this is a world with no...
gave him a purpose.
Yeah, exactly. This is a world with no heroes. Choose life, be that hero. I get it. It sort of is like, how else were you really going to solve that problem heroically?
Dude, he could have, like, if they weren't just playing favorites and making it so Avengers win because Avengers,
right?
Like, Hyperion would mop the floor with them.
That's why I was so
pretty
intrigued.
Handily.
I was so intrigued. Like, do you guys fight him? Do you reason with him? What's it going to be? And then they just do this sort of portal, and it's over.
Yeah.
And I feel really disappointed. Like, I was super hyped.
Like you were robbed of something kind of epic.
Yeah. Like, I feel like this could have been a moment where we all looked back and it's like, we want to see that in the MCU. Like, that's a good moment. Like, that top 10 Avengers moments from the 2024s or whatever. And instead we just get, Like there was no real reason to even bring him in to do this. It was just, I don't know. It was really disappointing. I feel like there could have been a lot more exciting maker level stuff, and just we got the most basic out of it. Again, Jed mid-K. He delivers the most mid-resolution to the story we possibly could have gotten. It's not bad.
Even if he had an interesting
it's not terrible.
Premise.
Right, exactly. The premise always starts pretty well with Jed, and then it just immediately, hits rock bottom.
He couldn't finish performance anxiety or something, I guess.
It happens with men of his age.
So I hear. And that's unfortunate. Man, the interior art on that, though, is stellar.
Oh, yeah. I really, really like this art. And again, we also got... This is a good... Like, Scott looks like an adult here.
Yeah.
Even though he kind of looks like an adult trying to be young, I think that almost sort of works for what he's trying to do. I don't know. I'm with you. I really like the art in all of this.
Yeah, that's really... I would love to get my hands on, like,
that's a really pretty sif
PNG of that shot of Aurora. Like,
that is
a pretty
I can deliver as soon as we are offline. And actually, with that's a pretty good transition. We're at 2.5 hours. A little longer than we probably are aiming for these streams, but we had a lot of technical issues, and this is also honestly the first time you and I have been able to face talk about like comic books. So we obviously had
the second one of us brought up Spider-Man at any level. That was like, all right, well, this is going to be a thing for probably 30 to 45 minutes.
Oh, it was actually more of an hour. I was watching the timer. We spent an hour talking about Spider-Man, and we could have gone more. I just cut us off because I was like, we should probably adhere to the schedule.
Yeah, and we eventually came around there, but this was a trial and error, like banging things out, hammering in things. You know, it's good. It's gonna probably take a couple of weeks to like really refine and dial things in to where we hit a rhythm. But thank you so much to everybody who was hanging out with us in the chat. Y'all are awesome. It's important to talk about the things that we enjoy, and there are some comic books that Spencer and I are genuinely enjoying right now. Not everything coming out of the mainstream is trash, though most of it is at DC right now.
That reminds me, before we actually do head out, I wanted to I got to go to your Twitter real quick.
I actually sent you the links in DMs.
Oh, perfect.
In Discord
perfect.
DMs.
You knew what I was talking about. So,
yes, I did.
You know more about these books, so I'm going to let you. Well, we can hit that last one last because that's the big bango.
Yeah.
But here, so you know this one first. So let me get the browser up, and we will jump over there. And okay, what do we got here first?
So this right here, let me make sure I've got it pulled up.
And for those who don't know, we also will be highlighting on our shows. We want to highlight indie books, get the word out about some things you might not see. So that is what we are doing now. Again, we'll have a flow. We will get a flow where this all seems more natural.
It will seem far more organic and structured at one point. But yeah, this book is called Apotheosis, Collapsing Worlds, issue number 1. This is being written and drawn by the name is Jordan Gunderson, and the interiors look really great, but it's got a cool premise, and I love stuff that deals with like ancient mythologies, whether it's and I've been this way since I was a little kid, whether it's Greek and Roman, or whether it's Norse, whether it's Egyptian, and I especially as a kid loved Egyptian stuff. So this deals with ancient Egyptian mythology mixed with like modern day type of a and not that type of modern day, like a like almost like a Lara Croft type thing, and it just
the way
really,
the word
really
I
cool.
use now when I need to say like modern setting or modern day without modern, I do contemporary.
There's a good word. There's a good word for it. That's a $5 word. It's kind of a contemporary utilization of the mixing of kind of like Indiana Jones, Tomb Raider type of thing with some Egyptian mythology, adding a little more fantastical to it, having, kind of going all out with it. One of the cover artists is one of my favorite artists. His name's Ken Marion, and he's done a bunch.
Oh, there he is.
Yeah, that's his cover right there. And I saw him post that cover earlier. I was like, what's this book and when can I get it? Because that cover is just absolutely stunning. His work is so good. You can tell that he modeled a lot of it off of the late great Michael Turner, and he's got some Brett Booth layered in there as well.
Man, if you'd have just shown me this cover, I would have been like, Andrew was immediately buying all copies of this. Like this is a piece where I'm like, this is his. Like this is what he wants.
Right? And it just looks super cool.
It looks
I encourage
great.
you guys. I'm gonna actually drop the link in the chat here because
that's because Michael Turner did that Witchblade.
Yeah, and I am a fan of Witchblade. Speaking of Witchblade,
it's so pretty.
The great holofoil variant by Jeff Campple.
It's so it's
absolutely
probably
stunning.
I don't have enough good things to say about like if somebody were to be like, if we were to like vote on a foil variant show mascot, that would be it, right? Like that thing. Can we blow that up into like a mascot suit with like eyes and arms and stuff? Because like that, I can't get enough of that cover.
That would be fantastic.
That cover's in our banner. It's if you guys notice, if you're very keen-eyed, you'll see it's in the rotation of the images behind us that are all blurred. Mm-hmm. I have some stuff with that cover for our outro that I'm still working on. I total fanboy over it.
Yeah, absolutely stunning cover. But yeah, guys, I dropped the link in the chat. Give it a look, and if the premise piques your interest, please give it your support. They've got a number of different covers, a number of different tiers, but at the very least, like $22 isn't terrible for a freaking indie, because producing comic books is not cheap, guys, on your own, especially if you're not producing at massive volume. So your print price is drastically higher if you're only printing hundreds or maybe at most a couple thousand copies of a book, as opposed to tens of thousands of copies. You get a huge bulk discount in the printing there.
You know what his art sort of reminds me of? and it's not as good of a comparison as Ken and Michael Turner, but I'm getting David Marquez vibes. The writer, the artist for Uncanny X-Men.
Yeah.
There's something about his faces and about Gunderson's faces that I'm seeing that I'm like, I can see that. It's good.
Yeah.
It's a compliment.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I agree with that entirely. But yeah, it looks really cool to me. I already backed, and I'm looking forward to that. It's slated to be something that's fulfilled sometime around Christmas, so that'll be pretty cool to me.
I love this, where he's like, what are my inspirations? And you got Moon Knight down in the corner, and it's like, no
Right.
way, man. No way. Totally.
Really?
No idea. You've heard of Moon Knight? No, that's crazy.
Never would have thought, right? And then the other indie I want to bring attention to real quick. And this is, I guess this is pseudo indie because Aspen Comics has been around for a while, but they're one of the smaller publishers out there.
I still consider them indie.
Yeah, because they're definitely not on the same scale of honestly even IDW and Boom these days.
Oh no, not even.
So Ecos, when Michael Turner was still around, and he helped found Aspen Comics back in the late 90s, he had 3 IPs that he created to kick that off. He created Fathom, he created Soulfire, and he created Ecos. He was able to finish out the first arc of Fathom and Soulfire. However, he sadly passed before he was able to finish out Ecos, and so it actually was kind of.
Did he ever get anything out for Ecos?
I think there was only like an initial like preview issue.
I was gonna say like
I want to say
like a Wizard issue or whatever.
Yeah, if I'm remembering correctly, and if I'm wrong, I'm happy to be proven wrong. But he never got the chance to finish that one, sadly, because he did pass away in 2008 from cancer.
What is this advertisement? As seen in the Hollywood Reporter? Shut up.
But it's very fantastical. Alien designs, beast-like designs, and he did, as far as I know, he did write the full like first arc in terms of like the story, or at least he wrote down or outlined his ideas for it. So now it's being finished out by JT Kroll, who wound up finishing out a lot of his stuff
him
over
and
at
Connat. Connat was the artist too, who closed out all of his stuff. So they just brought him back together.
Exactly. So they brought back a team, and Peter Stiggerwald was Mike's main colorist on like literally everything he did, whether it was cover or interiors. So they brought together.
He's on Lady Mechanica.
Yeah, which is also a really good book right now. So I would encourage people to take a look at this, especially if you like super fantastical stuff.
I'm really happy they gave the lettering guy a box. That's good.
Oh yeah, I mean letterers work hard. Like
they do.
It's to letter properly does take effort, right? To not
skill
do it and have
yeah,
you got to know where to properly position your bubbles so that they flow properly for how the reader's going, for your intention on the
how much words you're fitting in there and all that sort of stuff.
Exactly. And so a talented letterer is an absolute asset. So I would encourage people to check that book out as well. And there's some really great looking covers.
Yeah. Kendrick Lim did one. Oh, Manipul did one. Mm-hmm. Your boy did one.
Yes, he did. Yes,
Alex did. Alex does it for everybody. That's not special anymore.
If you pay Alex Ross, he will do a cover for you.
He'll draw whatever you want. There's no.
Yeah,
he's not a stickler.
You write that check and then he'll draw the thing, right? and he'll do it very well.
Oh boy, Joey Q.
Yeah, our boy. But yeah, so that's something I'd encourage people to check out as well. Because
this is cool. I'm sure you know this, but I guess I was reading the summary here. It's going to have Aspen and Grace from Fathom and Soulfire. Like it crosses over everybody. I didn't know that. And it says this right here. This marks the first time these characters have all come together. So that's sick.
Yeah, I think that's something. As a massive Michael Turner fan, like he's my all-time favorite artist. Like behind me right here, this large red rectangle behind me is the artist edition, gallery edition of Superman, Batman, Return of Supergirl, to where it's all Turner's pencils every single page, and then a gallery in the back half of the book that is every single DC piece he ever did.
Really?
Yep. Including stuff that was never released as a cover or anything.
Your hidden gems,
So like that.
No, I learned
that's
that.
like the
So
gem of my collection.
when you see, I only learned this recently. You know when we see variant covers, especially out of Marvel, and it says like this is a hidden gem variant by whoever, John Romita, right? Those variants are pieces that they completed and just never used. That's why they're hidden gems. That's why they keep dragging them out for variant covers. I just learned that like a couple days ago.
Oh yeah, people who aren't like familiar with the actual inside or the back end of comic book creation don't realize that a lot of times, in fact most times, more often than not, multiple submissions will be put in by an artist for a cover idea, right? So you'll get a bunch of, sometimes you'll even get it completed, it'll get inked, it'll get colored, and then, you know, editorial will take a step back and look at it and be like, maybe we want this one instead.
Yeah.
Right?
They still get paid. They still get paid. It just
the
doesn't
artist
get used.
still gets paid, and they just sit on that asset. They have it, you know, in their back pocket for a rainy day. And Michael Turner famously did bang out a lot of pieces before he passed away. So there are pieces of his work to this day, as I understand, that have not yet been used as key art or cover art. So that's cool that we could still at some point still see some new Michael art. But speaking of the back end of comic book creation, if you want to bring up our
I'm
final
going. I had it a second ago,
rush.
and then I copied something else, and it was gone.
For those of you who do not know, I'm the creative manager, lead editor, and social media manager over at the Rippaverse. We are an independent comic book company and publisher. We have produced several books so far, and our latest one is written by none other than the legendary Chuck Dixon of Batman and Nightwing and Punisher and Robin. Just like anything that he touches, for the most part. Shoot, if you're a Conan fan, right? Like he freaking converted, or rather adapted The Hobbit into
I was gonna bring that one up.
graphic
Yeah, the
novel
Hobbit
as
one.
well. And you know, like he's done it all. He's a phenomenal talent, and he's been paired with Joe Bennett. If you read Immortal Hulk when that was going on over at Marvel, they've been paired together, and they came up with a street level vigilante hero who is brutal. If you want to compare him to the Punisher and Batman combined, that's not an unfair comparison.
It's not. Even just watching this trailer, guys, like you can tell. It gets more brutal at the end.
Yeah, this guy brings the beat down, and he is not afraid to do so. Yeah.
The first time I saw that, I was like, "Oh damn!" Because I was like, "Yeah, I know he's gonna be a brutal superhero, but like, didn't expect just the full on bat."
Yeah, no, right in the dome. This book has, as of this evening, sold over 9,000 copies so far, which is fantastic.
So awesome.
For a graphic novel. So if we're talking graphic novel size books, that's really good, compared to, you know, a lot of books that were released even in the mainstream. And right now we're closing in on, I think, 550K in terms of total sales for this collection. But if you guys want a street level, non-super powered, vigilante, brutal badass of a character, Chuck Dixon knows how to write them. And if you've read Chuck Dixon books, you know those words to be true. So head on over to the Rippaverse website.
8672, and I don't even know if that's completely accurate.
Oh, that is not refreshed then, because on my end we are sitting at. It's probably a caching issue if you're using Chrome. Chrome does that all the time.
Firefox, bro.
Firefox.
But it probably is still a cache issue. I run into that a lot.
Yeah, we're at 9,019 and then 545,000 in terms of dollars, which is pretty fantastic. And I'm super happy to see that level of success, not just for, you know, me and the company that I work for, but to see that level of success being tied to a Chuck Dixon project, because his work was so seminal to me growing up. His work on Batman, his work on Nightwing, and especially his work on Tim Drake, Robin. Like that is the definitive Robin for me. And his work has meant a lot to me as a comic book fan, and I love seeing him get this kind of recognition. So
gosh, every like, I know who wears this. Like, I love you guys, but this design is like, I know who wears those types of shirts. Like the like it's the kid in high school you didn't really want to talk to. Are you guys? You're not sold out of any covers yet, right? Like everything is still.
We're not yet. No, we are not.
Get it. Get this one, everyone.
That
the
one.
Foil emboss.
That foil embossed cover, y'all don't even know.
No, we don't, because we haven't even seen it. I'm so excited. I can't wait to see it like in your hands. It's gonna be so cool.
It will be one of the coolest foil covers y'all have ever seen, and bet your bottom dollar, chat, that I will be showing that cover off on stream.
Right. Oh yeah. And you know what? Aside
we
from
are
your
foil
horseman,
variant.
we are foil variant. That's what we do here. And aside from your horseman, go get all your other stuff: your shorts, your shirts, your posters, all that fun stuff. You might have missed the sale. Hey, this is pretty cool. I didn't know you guys did a Denver Fan Expo shirt.
Yeah, we had one that was the whole team that went there, which was
Look, guys,
cool.
you can get Andrew on a shirt. He's right there. I see him.
If
right
you
next to
want
Kanan.
So yeah, guys, thank you so much for hanging out with us. This has been a fantastic first episode. I know we rambled on for a little bit on Spider-Man there, but that, to a degree, is to be expected. We'll get it dialed in.
Yep. But yes, obviously it's us. Whenever Spider Talk comes up, there will be. I'm going to go out on a limb and say most of these streams will probably have a good, decent chunk of Spider Talk.
Spider-Man or Flash or something else.
Or any of those things. If you know us, you can probably guess which topics we'll be talking about. But yeah. Until next time, guys, go check out Horseman. Go grab your copies now. Go follow Andrew on Twitter. I have the link down in the description because I can never say it. It's like Fajal's friend rare, whatever it is. It's not NDA Andrew. That's just what I always think it is in my head. Check out boundingintocomics.com for all of your news needs. I'm going to go crack out on work over there because I spent most of the afternoon getting this set up. Tune in next week for another show, same time, same channel. Hit that like button, hit that sub button. Hopefully we'll have a proper intro next week and everything smoothed out. But
we will not be 20 minutes late next week.
We will not be 20 minutes late. We will be on time next week. I promise you all that. But yes, thank you guys for hanging out. Thanks for coming on this ride with us. And yeah, hopefully you guys found something great to go check out. Go read Venom War, Venomous. I think that's the best stamp I can put on the stream. And
Book of the week minimum.
Book of the week minimum. But yeah, book of the week is that one. Foil variant of the week is the Dazzler one. Go check them all out. Maybe not Dazzler unless you're buying the cover specifically. But yes, there's good stuff out there. Go check it out. Go find it. Don't let all of the doom and gloom get to your guys' head. But with that, I think we will be signing off. There's no outro this week. It is still in development. So maybe, you know what? I'm just gonna play the I'm just gonna play the intro again as our outro.
Those who missed the
because
first
I'm pretty proud of it. So until next week, from everybody from Evelay, Clone, Zero, Reeve, anybody else, Corey I know is here for a second. Anybody else who is watching and not commenting, we see you, we hear you. You're the best. We couldn't do this without you, and we will see you next week. Until then. And transition.
Never before have we had greater face a complex, rapidly changing world. Think of it a moment.
It is a world in which supersonic speeds are commonplace. It is a world that has seen the coming of the atomic bomb. It has seen the rise of the total state, the dictator, and the mass man. It is a world of new sensations, new excitements, new distractions.
So much to be learned by so many in so little time.
And I suppose you're here with no agenda, as per usual?
On the contrary, I'm here for comics.
How's your comic book collection, Brody?
Oh, it's going good, but I've been...